Good morning, everyone. So this is actually my second lecture for part one. I took part two in the first place because it was the content was all about MRI, X-ray, DEXA scan, bone scan. So I just thought, let the community learn to read X-ray and MRI. So I just took it first. But now, as I got second chance, I would like to start from beginning. That is history, examination, and assessment in detail, and which already have taken about X-ray MRI. So now you can correlate between X-ray MRI reading and assessment part. Again, this time also, because it is webinar, it will be difficult to have interactions. Usually the talks are very live to ask everybody and to get the answer from everyone. Quite informative. We start now. Would like to start from this shlok. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. By now, till now, I have never started my talk from this because I wanted my actual, identity, that people should know me with my name. I do not want to use my guru's name because he is a great and probably everybody knows him. So I just wanted to develop myself on my own. And now, when I have developed to this extent, I would like to introduce my guru, who has been my mentor, who has taught me everything, and whatever by now I am is all the credit goes to him. And he is none other than Dr. Bharat Dave. He is a spine surgeon. We work together. I'll say we work together. I do not work under him because he has never shown that I have worked under him. And he has taught me a lot by now. He's humble, he's bold, and an excellent teacher. So uh, we start with his name, and now the content of my talk is going to be a first part of assessment will be 60 minutes. The differential diagnosis to how to differentiate the different conditions, panel conditions from each other. Choosing investigation with wiseness, how to choose investigation, which investigation for whom, and symptomatology, because practical life is completely different than the theoretical life. So how we assess, that is what I'm going to discuss, and the few cases we'll discuss about it. So this is my team, and this is surgeon's team. So we all work together as a surgeon's team and physiotherapist team. We work in harmony. We'll start my assessment talk. The first, what we do is observation. It has been taught to us when we were as a student, that the assessment should always start with observation. But what I experienced actually was from the clinic. So the really assessment starts from the observation. The moment the patient enters in the clinic, the assessment starts. So the moment they enter, what we observe is a gait and posture. So the postures are different kind of body postures acquired by the patient to comfort themselves. So this is a typical posture of PIVD. One can say this is a list or tilt to the other side, and which is because of the PID on the leg. They try to decompress the area and by tilting to the other side, and that's why they get this posture. So somebody enter with this posture is usually PID, disc prolapse. On occasion, it happens that such kind of cox spine, they also enter with such postures. This is a posture of torticollis. Again, it is very common posture, everybody knows. This is very different, it is very important posture one can make out. The patient enters with the hands supporting the chin. So if somebody has a C1, C2 problem, that is, occiput C0, C1, C1, C2, that is upper cervical spine problem. So the occiput cannot rest on the spine. So one has to support the occiput like this. So any pathology of C1, C2 or C0, C1 patient will enter like this, supporting the chin. We'll discuss the case at the end. Now again, this is another posture which is called as Baccardi sign. Baccardi sign is, it is a clinical assessment called as disc prolapse. Somebody has disc prolapse would be having this posture for cervical spine. If somebody has cervical spine disc prolapse, and if somebody comes like this, and they have good prognosis. Somebody who enters like this, and this gives relief because elevating the arm decompresses the nerve, so they feel comfortable with elevation. And such patients behave very well with cervical collar and traction. This is a scoliosis sign. what I said about this sign of the hand on the head was Backwadi sign. Just remember this. Somebody who enters with this is classic cervical PID. This is scoliosis. Everybody will be knowing this. This is kyphosis, but the what I wanted to show is the posture. This is ankylosing posture. Somebody usually enter with this posture with the head forward and the spine stiff, and they'll be rotating the body like this. So this is typically ankylosing posture. So the moment the patient enters and you say, "મણકાનો વાળ તમને કેટલા વર્ષથી છે?" So the patient will be really impressed કે સાહેબને તો જોઈને ખબર પડી ગઈ, because this is very typical posture. Once you see 2 or 3 cases of this patient, some stage, some disease, same disease, it will be very easy for you to identify ankylosing spondylitis. This is a posture with osteoporosis. Again, it is slouched posture, but not as bad as ankylosing. The second thing, the ankylosing is usually seen in younger population than the older population. So this is osteoporosis, where the female usually bends forward because of the hump. The skin becomes very papery, very thin, and fragile skin and brittle hairs. Loss of teeth also can be a sign of osteoporosis. So such patients, when they enter on observation itself, you can say this patient has osteoporosis. Certainly, you should not get bias that patient has osteoporosis, but you should have in your mind that she may have or he may have osteoporosis. Again, this is a typical posture of PID. Somebody enters with the tilt on the left side. Again, this is a PID posture, disc prolapse. This is a posture of ankylosing spondylitis. They cannot lie supine properly. They need 2 pillows to keep it below the head. So now, before putting this pillow, we have taken this picture, and this is how the head remains. Even though we do not put a pillow, he will not be able to keep the head down if it is ankylosing spondylitis. So this is typical postures acquired by the patient for some certain diseases. Gait videos I'll be showing you at the end of the presentation. Now, this is you can say tuft of hair, tuft of hair at the back. I would say when I was studying, we used to at that time there was no much clinical practice, and we used to learn from the images from there was no Google also that time, so we used to learn from books that how the tuft of hair looks like. But when we joined the clinic, we really come to know that really this is a tuft of hair, and the patient came to us for the some skin specialist to asking about some skin specialist. They wanted to remove this hair, and then we investigated, and usually somebody has tuft of hair are usually the case of spinal dystrophism. Spinal dystrophism is a bunch of diseases where spinal anomalies are attached, like spina bifida, tethered cord, syringomyelia, or maybe meningomyelocele. Kind of the things are altogether called as a spinal dystrophism. Now, this is another case where you can see such patches. અને લાખું કહીએ ગુજરાતીમાં આપણે ત્યાં બધાને લાખું કહે. So somebody has 1 or 2 is normal to happen, but somebody has maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 lakha hoy, so it is not lakhu, it is called as a neurofibromatosis. Neurofibromatosis. This is another observation. On seeing itself, patient itself, you can say that this is a case of neurofibromatosis. It is abnormal growth of the neuron. You can see this nodules over here, on the side and everywhere. You can see such nodules. So these nodules are again neurofibromatosis. If such neurofibromatosis happens outside the compartments, then it is usually non-symptomatic. But if it happens inside the canal or inside the foramina or near to the nerve root where the compartments are there, so more likely to produce a specific nerve symptoms according to the compression at the relevant level. And neurofibromatosis is commonly seen with the patient with the scoliosis. You can see this patient, the boy who has scoliosis, congenital scoliosis, are usually, I'll say around 5 to 10% of the cases they are neurofibromatotic. Another case with the arm hanging on the side, you can see this is policeman tip deformity, Erb's palsy. This is a typical policeman tip deformity where the hand goes in internal rotation and the biceps is weak. So brachial plexus injury can lead to such kind of policeman tip deformity. And very typical on entering itself, we can say this is brachial plexus injury case on occasion, but certainly you should not neglect by just declaring it. You should go for always investigation like MRI, so you can very well say that there is no other pathology than the brachial plexus injury. Now, in this is called as a myelopathic hand. So when you ask the patient to show the hand, if the patient shows the hand like this with the little finger open, and a few things to observe here is, you do not see the thenar eminence, which is over here. You cannot see this thenar eminence over here. So if that is atrophied, so there will be some root compression somewhere in the cervical spine, which must be producing this wasting and finger escape sign. This is called as a finger escape sign, which I'll be taking in the middle of the slides. So this is a typical myelopathic hands. So by seeing the hand itself, you can say there is compression in the cervical spine. So this is how the observation goes on. You just see the patient, from the patient is coming with 1% support, the patient is coming with 2% support, the patient is coming on stretcher. So all these things are called as observation. Psychological consideration should be again, taken in a observation. This is usually taken at the end of the assessment. But I would say the psychological consideration is the most important thing to assess in any condition, not only in the spine. Because all the psychological conditions will be overlapping the pain, and everybody comes to physio or maybe for the pain and stiffness only. There are a few other branches where the patient goes because of the cardio or other causes, but then in orthopedic cases, more often they come with the pain and stiffness, so which can be very well affected by the psychological status of the patient. So now you can see the first is depressed. If somebody is really depressed, तुम्हें खबर है सकता है, somebody goes depressed, then the pain and symptoms will increase, and you will feel the more pain, even though the cause is very less. So this is called a psychological overlay. Not the patient is mad, but then there is some psychological overlay which is exacerbating the symptoms of the pain. Now, hyperactive personalities, anxiety, these all are again, cases of psychological overlay. The depressed patients usually will cry on complaining. More often, patient doesn't cry when they complain. મને પગ દુખે છે, મને હાથ. I'll be saying few words in Gujarati because the patients they usually speak Gujarati. So that is how how they explain to us. So if the patient is really depressed, they will start crying. મને આ સખત દુખે છે, and they will start crying. So there is no matter. One should not cry because of the pain. More often, out of 100, I'll say only 2 patients will be crying because of pain, and that shows there is some depression. On occasion they are really genuine also, because there must be some malignancy or this that, but then still the chances of crying is very less, and usually who is depressed will start crying before the complaints. Somebody who is hyperactive or anxiety will be like tabla wagade hath, table par baitha hua, you can see the eye movements, you can see the face movement, you cannot see them calm, peaceful. They are always in the movements. So they are hyperactive personality. They also have unusual pains and aches. Somebody who is really ill will be having a big beard, rather beard and not well. You can see from the face itself that he has not taken bath, he is not happy, he is not healthy. So that is ill appearance. So these are some perspectives one should see when they start talking to the patient. The moment you ask શું complaint થાય છે, and the patient start telling you, and you will come to know, okay, what the personality the patient has, and that is how you can treat them. In my this all assessment talk, I'll be telling true stories in what has happened in my clinic. So we'll be sharing some fun jokes. We get the fun out of the OPD. Not the fun of the patient, but the fun of the incident that we come to know, okay, how everybody explains. So what happens, one female and husband and wife, they came to me. Patient's wife asked me, sir, can the stress increase the pain? So કે દુખાવો વધી શકે, સ્ટ્રેસ હોવાને કારણે પેઇન વધી જાય. So I thought, husband must be a stressful person, so she must be asking me. So I said, yeah, certainly the stress can increase the pain. So female was a wife, was a patient, and then I asked, yes, obviously, no doubt, about it, because the stress certainly can increase your pain. So what she said, really, it was eye opening. Looking at her husband, and she said, sir, can I leave him here? He bothers me a lot. It was too, you can sarcastic. You cannot say anything to the patient, because sir, મને મૂકીને જવું અહીંયા આગળ મને બહુ હેરાન કરે છે, બહુ સ્ટ્રેસ આપે છે. So now what will you say? Between husband and wife, you cannot say anything. So wife can pull you anywhere, anytime. So this is what I say. Wife is God. This is I found it on auto. So wife is God. So we start with the history. This is a tip, only one and only tip given by Ian McNabb. Everybody must have read a book of Ian McNabb, who has written very good books on assessment of spine. So patient and doctor who cannot give and take a good history are at the risk of giving and receiving the false treatment. So if the patient doesn't give a good history, or the doctor cannot take a good history, they both can have side effect, or we can say disadvantage of giving a good treatment. More often what happens, I have a team of 13 physiotherapists. We are all together. Everybody has different personality. I do not deny that everybody has different tolerance level with the patient also. So more often, when you will ask, "Su complaint hai chhe, su taklif hai chhe," this, that, this will not give a proper history. So what actually one should do is, the first rule of the history is let them speak. Let the patient speak, and you organize later. So let the patient complete his all conversation કે સાહેબ મને આવી તકલીફ છે, હું આટલું ચાલી શકું છું, બેસી શકું છું, ઊભો નથી રહી શકતો. You keep it in your mind, and according to your pharma or your protocol, you write it at the end. And now whatever steps or whatever points has been remained, you can ask it later. Because the moment you will pip in, but the moment you will ask the patient, stop, let me ask you questions, he will forget everything. And before going or leaving the consultation room, he will keep on asking you the things. So let them speak first, and you organize later. There are two common categories of the patient comes to us. One is diagnosed already. Somebody has diagnosed and said you have alpha alpha PID, and there are few who has been not diagnosed and they are coming to us first of all. So now what happens? What is difficult, or who is difficult to diagnose, or who is difficult to handle is the first community who has been already diagnosed and they have been said કે તમારે ચોથા પાંચમા મણકાની ગાદી ખસી ગઈ છે. એટલે patient will come to you, સાહેબ મારી તો છે ને ચોથા પાંચમા મણકાની ગાદી ખસી ગઈ છે, મને ડાબા પગમાં દુખાવો થાય છે અને સખત છે. At that moment you are biased, you are lost, and you will be with your brain that this is L for alpha PFD cases. Now it may happen, it can have, or he may have, or she may have some different kind of pathology also. So in such case, before starting the history, make sure you do not get biased to the patient or listening to the history. So always, I will say, always remain undiagnosed. Even though if you are going to consult any surgeon or any other physician, never say that, even though you are a doctor, you should not say that I have diagnosed this, or I have diagnosed that this. You should say the complaints only. We start with the history. First of all, as usual, one should ask about the name and address, because it is endemic. Like, somebody is from Rajasthan, they are prone to have fluorosis rather than ankylosing spondylitis. Fluorosis gives the same symptoms like ankylosing spondylitis. One should ask about the age, because some diseases occurs in the younger age, like PIVD or ankylosing spondylitis. This such cases, such diseases happens in the younger age. So PID usually occurs in younger age. Scoliosis can be congenital, adolescent. Gender, one should be asking, because there are few diseases which happens in the more often with the female than the male, or there are male than the female. So ankylosing is very common in male than the female, whereas the osteoporosis is very common in female. Now occupation to be asked to decide the treatment plan. Like, how can you decide the treatment plan? Because somebody is a computer worker, so you can give the different advices and this, that. Somebody is different worker, then you can give according to that occupation. So now to explain do's and don'ts, so you can explain them what to do, what not to do, to help them if they are economically poor. Somebody who is poor, who is not affording, so you may certainly reduce your charge, you can half charge them. So this is why one should ask about the occupation. Now the more of the part of the history is taken by pain. So pain assessment is very important. One should ask the onset and duration of the pain. Pain છે કેટલા ટાઈમથી છે અને કેવી રીતે થયું, અચાનક થયું, ધીમે ધીમે કરીને થયું. So acute or chronic, how long the pain is. So somebody who has acute pain are more likely to have PIVD, infective pathology, or strain. They are usually acute, which happens within 1 or 2 months or 3 months. Whereas chronic pain like degenerative spine, degenerative diseases, osteoarthritis, or somatization, or C1 C2 OA. I will tell about somatization in my later slides. C1 C2 OA, again, it is anything which is degenerative, it takes time to develop. So they are chronic diseases. So one should ask about the onset and duration. More often people ask about the difference between spasm and stiffness, how to differentiate spasm from the stiffness. Spasm is painful. When you ask the patient to bend forward, he has or she has pain with spasm. And they usually have a soft end feel, even though they try to go a little bit higher, downwards, forward, back, bending. So they can go with some soft end feel. Whereas stiffness is such, which is painless. It doesn't have, more often doesn't have pain until unless something is broken inside. So, it is more often it is painless, and they have hard end feel. When they bend forward, that is the end. They cannot go beyond it. Even though you try to do it, you cannot do it. So that is the difference between this spasm and stiffness. Type of pain, one should ask what type of pain you have. So somebody who has pulling or shooting pain is usually because of the nerve pain. Burning is usually vascular, considered as a vascular pain. Site of the pain should be asked કે કઈ જગ્યાએ pain થાય છે. So never get biased that patient has SI pain, patient has hip pain, patient has a facet pain. So what one can say is, patient has a SI area pain. One is patient has hip area pain. So make sure your mind doesn't get biased by complaining itself or hearing the complaint itself. Radiation, the which area the pain goes, like above knee, it is below knee, L3, L4. I'm not going to take dermatomal level this time in detail because it is very basic thing one can understand. And this is I've mentioned also. It is a medial of the hip. L2 is a anterior thigh, medial thigh. L3 is a anterior thigh. L4 goes till calf. L5 goes to great toe. S1 goes to a small toe. Dominant limb, which one is the dominant limb? This is how one can say about the upper limb dermatome level also. Dominant limb means which, if you have both lower limb pain, which is the most symptomatic, right or left? And one can start with the treatment, and one will say, okay, my right lower limb pain, which was more, is still there, but left lower limb pain, which was less, is reduced or relieved. So it is, again, you can decide the prognosis. So one should ask about dominant lower limb, which lower limb or which upper limb is symptomatic more. Relation with the activity, which activity increases the pain? Somebody who is pain on sitting for a long time is usually discogenic pain. Disc gets inflated or get compressed or highly pressurized on sitting, which is, it is, book says this. And standing or prone, that is usually lytic or lysis pain, because standing leads to kind of lysis under the stress, so that increases the pain. Better after the activity, somebody who feels better after the activity is usually spondyloarthropathy, which can be any type of, not only ankylosing spondylitis. It can be a simple rheumatoid arthritis, it can be a ankylosing spondylitis. More often they feel better after the activity, and they feel worse after the rest. So one can ask about the intensity of the pain. So out of 10, how much marks will you give to your pain? Mild, moderate, severe? The thing which I like the most is, this is a sentence given by McNabb. The best way to assessing pain is let the patient run his or her hand through the area of pain. So patient ને એમના હાથથી બતાવવાનું કહો, તમને ક્યાં દુખાવો છે, તમારો હાથ મૂકીને તમારી આંગળી મૂકીને મને બતાવો. So they will run the hand or the finger from buttock to the last toe or to the great toe. If you ask the patient ને ક્યાં pain થાય છે, they will say only મને પગમાં દુખાવો થાય છે. પણ put your finger, તમારો હાથ મૂકો અને તમે મને બતાવો કે તમને દુખાવો ક્યાંથી ચાલુ થાય છે અને ક્યાં પૂરો થાય છે. So then they will say in specific that this is the area of pain. This is how we can decide the dermatome from beginning itself. Now, time of pain, that is also important. Somebody who has 4 a.m. pain, early morning pain, that is usually pathological sign, or early morning pain usually because of the ankylosing. Typical morning patient says કે સવારે ઉઠી ત્યારે કમર સખત પકડાઈ ગઈ હોય, સખત પેઇન થતું હોય અને હું વાત કરું એટલે મને પેઇન મટી જાય. So this is ankylosing pain. Somebody was 4 a.m. સવારે 4 વાગ્યામાં દુખાવો ચાલુ થઈ જશે, તો somebody may be having malignancy or other kind of neoplasms, which can be, or maybe COX or any infective pathology. So ADL, to rule out disability. કોઈ પણ patient disability, if you want to know, if you know the disability, you can justify the pain. Somebody says કે મને સખત pain થાય છે, અતિશય pain થાય છે, પણ હું ચાલી શકું છું, હું બેસી શકું છું, મારું બધું કામ કરી શકું છું, so that means there is no major issue with it. But somebody says કે મને pain થાય છે, medium pain છે, પણ સાહેબ મારાથી ચલાતું નથી, મારાથી ઊભા નથી રહેવાતું, મારાથી બેસાતું પણ નથી. So that indicates the severity of pain, because everybody has a different pain tolerance. So somebody might be complaining more with the vast scale, but less with the ODI questionnaire. So one should give importance to the ODI questionnaire, because the disability is the measurement for the pain. And make sure that when you ask the patient કે કેટલું ચાલો છો, કેટલું બેસાય છે, કેટલું ઊભા રહેવાય છે, તો you should be very clear about કે છેલ્લા અઠવાડિયામાં કે છેલ્લા મહિનામાં કેટલું બેસાય છે. Because patient says, હું તો 20 કિલોમીટર અંબાજી હતો, તો હું તો પછી 200 કિલોમીટર અંબાજી ચાલીને આવ્યો હતો પાછો. But that was the matter of 6 months back, and the pain is since 1 month only. So one should be very clear about the duration of pain અને એ ક્યારથી disability ચાલુ થઈ. Now this is how I advise somebody to remember about the pain history. Pain history કેવી રીતે લેવાની? તો જે રીતના આપણા મશીન જે હોય ને ઇલેક્ટ્રિકલ સ્ટિમ્યુલેટર, એમાં આટલી વસ્તુઓ હોય, ઇન્ટેન્સિટી હોય, that is very short, ઇન્ટેન્સિટી તો હોય જ. સેકન્ડ ડ્યુરેશન હોય, એટલે ડ્યુરેશન ઓફ ધ પેઇન, એક્યુટ છે, ક્રોનિક છે, કેટલા ટાઈમથી છે. The second thing it includes is a selector, which type of current do you want to give, SF, IG. So that is how one can say કે thrombing pain છે, beating pain છે, shooting pain છે, burning pain છે, which type of pain do you have. So this is a type of pain. Frequency can be asked. The patient says કે મને આખો દિવસ પેઇન નથી રહેતું, મને રોજ પેઇન નથી હોતું, મને અમુક ટાઈમે પેઇન આવે છે અને જાય છે. That time one should ask about the frequency. પેઇન થાય છે તો મહિનામાં કેટલી વાર થાય છે, અને અથવા તો 6 મહિનામાં કેટલી વાર થાય છે, છેલ્લા અઠવાડિયામાં કેટલી વાર થયું. So one can ask about the frequency and pulse width. Pulse width means કેટલા ટાઈમ માટે પેઇન થાય, કે 6 મહિનામાં 5 વાર પેઇન થયું, તો દર વખતે એ પેઇન કેટલા દિવસ ચાલે છે? 5 દિવસ ચાલે છે, 10 દિવસ ચાલે છે, 20 દિવસ ચાલે છે? દેટ ઇઝ અ ડ્યુરેશન ઓફ પેઇન. So that is what's a pulse width. ટાઈમ એન્ડ સાઇટ, કેટલા વાગે પેઇન થાય છે, સવારે, સાંજે, અને કઈ જગ્યાએ પેઇન થાય છે. સો સાઇટ કેન બી ડિસાઇડેડ, ટાઈમર માટે આપણે આપેલું જ હોય છે, અને સાઇટ કેન બી સેડ બાય પ્લેસિંગ ધ ઇલેક્ટ્રોડ. વેર યુ ડુ પ્લેસ ધ ઇલેક્ટ્રોડ, ઇલેક્ટ્રોડ ક્યાં પ્લેસમેન્ટ કરશો, that is how we can say about the site. So this is how one can easily remember. છોકરાઓ માટે, mainly main students who are going to give exams, તો પેનમાં શું શું પૂછવું, immediately આવશે, તમે યાદ કરો એટલે we will be able to remember કે શું શું પૂછવાનું છે. This is a good joke about Akbar and Birbal, and one of the famous joke, practically of my sir and mine. મને બહુ જ ગમે છે આ joke. Relevant to medical also, medical field also. So એક દિવસ Akbar had 9 રત્ન, 9 રત્ન હતા એની પાસે, અને he used to ask question on a day કે ભાઈ આનું શું થાય, અને પછી then 9 રત્ન બધા વિખેરાઈ જાય, અને બધા એના સવાલોના જવાબ ગોતવામાં લાગી જાય, અને પછી then everybody will come to him and give the answer about that. So one day Akbar asked કે તમારા બધા માટે સારામાં સારો દિવસ કયો, which is the best day when you feel કે તમે બહુ સરસ, આમ મજા આવી, આજનો દિવસ બહુ સરસ રહ્યો. So there were a few who said કે મહારાજ, હું તો મારી પત્નીનું મોઢું જોઉં એટલે મારા માટે બહુ સારામાં સારો દિવસ, it is the best day for me. There were a few who said કે મહારાજ, હું મારા દીકરાને રમાડું, જે દિવસે મારા દીકરાને મળું, મારા એ દિવસે મારો સારામાં સારો દિવસ હોય. There were a few who said કે મારા જે દિવસે મારો ધંધો સારો થાય, મારું કામ સારું થાય, એ દિવસે મારો સારો દિવસ હોય. There were a few who were battery also, જે બટર લગાવતા હોય, મારા જે દિવસે હું તમારું મોઢું જોઉં, એ દિવસે મારા માટે સારામાં સારો દિવસ હોય. So everybody, one by one, everybody answered, and the turn came to Birbal. And Akbar asked Birbal કે ભાઈ, તો તારા માટે સારામાં સારો દિવસ તારો કયો છે, which is the best day for you? So what he said was, કે the day I empty my bowel is the best day for me. So જ્યારે સ્ટૂલ પાસ થાય, પેટ એકદમ સાફ થઈ જાય, ત્યારે સારામાં સારો દિવસ, and which one can experience also. આપણામાંથી કદાચ પ્રેક્ટિકલી બધા જ એ દિવસે બરાબર સ્ટૂલ પાસ ના થયું હોય, એ દિવસે પેશન્ટ કેન સે કે સાહેબ આજ બરાબર મૂડમાં નથી આયા. So this is very common to happen with anybody. So what I want to convey from this is, whenever you go for rounds, જ્યારે તમે રાઉન્ડમાં જાઓ ત્યારે આટલી વસ્તુ ફરજિયાત પૂછો. પેશન્ટને પેઇન કેવું છે, દુખાવો કેવો છે, થોડી ગાળો ચોક્કસ મળે ઘણી વાર કે ભાઈ સાહેબ ઓપરેશન કર્યું, આવું થયું, તેવું થયું, મને પેઇન મળતું નથી, આ છે. But one can very well counsel, આપણું કામ જ કાઉન્સેલિંગ કરવાનું છે. સેકન્ડ થિંગ, one can ask about bladder bowel. ભાઈ સ્ટૂલ પાસ થયું, સંડાસ થયું આજે? અરે સાહેબ જોવા દો ને, 2 દિવસથી સંડાસ જ પાસ નથી થતું. પછી એને પેઇન નથી મળવાનું. સો વન શુડ એડવાઇઝ પપૈયું કે રાત્રે કંઈ ખાવાનું લેવામાં, એ રીતે વન કેન એડવાઇઝ કે તમે ફાંકી લેતા તો ફાંકી લઈ શકાય. ઓર વન કેન એડવાઇઝ ટુ ધ સિસ્ટર કે ભાઈ સિસ્ટર, અમને સ્ટૂલ પાસ નથી થયું, તો લક્ઝરી તમે જે બી આપતા હોય, યુ કેન એડવાઇઝ. ઓર એલ્સ અમારે ત્યાં વી આર અલાઉડ, અમને છૂટ છે કે ભાઈ તમને નાની મોટી ટ્રીટમેન્ટ તમારે કોઈને કેવી હોય પેશન્ટને કે ભાઈ તમે લક્ઝરી માટે આ લઈ લો, તો વી કેન ગીવ ધેમ. પેશન્ટને ઊંઘ પૂછવી જોઈએ. એટલે પેઇન, બ્લેડર બોવેલ અને ઊંઘ, સ્લીપ. ઊંઘ સારી ના આવે તો પણ પેઇન વધારે થાય. એટલે ઓલવેઝ આસ્ક અબાઉટ ધ સ્લીપ, ઊંઘ કેવી આવી. સો ધીસ વોઝ ઓલ અબાઉટ ધ બિરબલ એન્ડ અકબર. મૂવ અહેડ. સો બ્લેડર બોવેલમાં પૂછવું પડે પેશન્ટને, જ્યારે તમે પૂછો ને કે જાડો પેશાબ બરાબર થાય છે, સો અને આ શબ્દમાં જ પૂછવું પડે કે જાડો પેશાબ બરાબર થાય છે, અને without hesitation, when we passed out and we joined the clinic and we used to ask this question, ભાઈ જાડો પેશાબ બરાબર થાય, you don't like to speak such words, but the moment you implement it, you start feeling it, and the patient will give very well response કે હા સાહેબ જાડો બરાબર થાય છે. But then in detail you have to ask કે પેશાબ બરાબર થાય છે, તો ક્યાં બરાબર થાય છે. On occasion what happens, patient says કે પેશાબ બરાબર થાય છે, the next moment you ask અટકી અટકીને આવતું એવું થાય છે, the patient will say હા સાહેબ થોડું થોડું અટકી અટકીને આવે છે. You should ask about કે અટકી અટકીને આવે છે, ફોર્સ પહેલા જેટલો સાહેબ જોર લગાવવું પડે છે, પહેલા જેવું જોર નથી થતું. એટલે these all are the question which indicates incontinence and continence. So one should ask about it કે કેટલું ફોર્સથી થાય છે, અટકી અટકીને આવે છે, બળતરા થાય છે પેશાબ કરતી વખતે, આ બધી વસ્તુ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે પૂછવામાં. તો બ્લેડર બોયલનું પૂછવું જોઈએ ડેપ્થમાં. કારણ કે ટ્યુમર્સ જે હોય ને, ઘણા બધા ટ્યુમર્સ એવા હોય છે જે સ્પાઇનલ કોર્ડ ટ્યુમર્સ which affect the bladder bowel directly first. પેશન્ટ બીજી કોઈ જ કમ્પ્લેન ના હોય, બ્લેડર બોવલ અને ઇરેક્ટાઇલ ડિસફંક્શન, આ બે વસ્તુ જ કમ્પ્લેન સાથે આવે પેશન્ટ. સ્લીપ, ઊંઘનું પૂછવું જોઈએ. એઝ આઈ સેડ કે પેશન્ટને ઊંઘ સારી આવતી હોય તો there is no major cause of the pain. કારણ કે જે વ્યક્તિ રાતે સારું સુઈ શકતા હોય, they usually have a moderate kind or mild kind of pain. Past history of the same episode to know the frequency and intensity of worsening. પહેલા ક્યારે આવું પેઇન થયું તો કેટલું વધારે થયું હતું એ જાણવા માટે પૂછવું જોઈએ. જ્યારે પાસ્ટમાં થયું હતું ત્યારે આટલું જ ખરાબ હતું કે આના કરતાં ઓછું હતું. એઝ આઈ સેડ પલ્સ વિથ થયું હતું, કેટલા ટાઈમ સુધી ચાલ્યું. હવે યુએમએન સિમ્ટમ્સ. અમે મહેસાણા જઈએ છીએ, હું અને સાહેબ ભરતભાઈ સાહેબ, અમે બંને જણા મહેસાણા જતા હોઈએ છીએ, અને મારી સાથે અમારી ટીમમાં બીજા ફિઝિયો ટીમ પણ આવતી હોય છે. હવે ત્યાં આગળ વોટ વી આસ્ક we do not have much time there કારણ કે રોજના લગભગ ત્યાં મહેસાણામાં મહિનાના એક વખત જતા હોય એટલે 200 પેશન્ટ જોવાના હોય. So you do not have full questionnaire to ask. So you have to select the things which should be asked at the moment. And these are the few very important things which we ask in 2 minutes of consultation. There is imbalance. ચાલતા ચાલતા બેલેન્સ ના રહે એવું થાય છે. It should be question always. ચાલતા ચાલતા પડી જવાય, બકલ થઈ જવાય. Patient will say ના ના સરસ ચાલી શકાય છે. પણ રિલેટિવ may point out કે સાહેબ 2 દિવસ પહેલા પડી ગયો હતો ચાલતા ચાલતા. ભાઈ તું કેને બરાબર 2 દિવસ પહેલા ચાલતા ચાલતા બકલ તો થઈ ગયો હતો, તાર ડીક્ષણ પડી ગયા હતા, તું પડી ગયો હતો. So there is a sign of UMN. Dexterity loss is in should be asked. Dexterity એટલે હાથની નાની નાની વસ્તુ પકડવાની ક્ષમતા. One should ask about the dexterity. નાની નાની વસ્તુ પકડી શકાય છે. Patient will again say કે હા સાહેબ હું તો સરસ પકડી શકું છું, જો મારી હાથની તાકાત તમે જુઓ. Then you should ask in depth. બટનિંગ સરસ કરી શકો છો, બટન બંધ કરી શકો છો? The patient will say સાહેબ બટનિંગમાં પ્રોબ્લેમ થાય છે, બટન કરતા વાર લાગે છે. સિગ્નેચર બરાબર કરી શકો છો? ના સાહેબ સિગ્નેચર કરું છું, મારા ચેક પાછા આવે છે. So one can say about these two very important points when they ask the patient about UMN signs. અને પેશન્ટની કમ્પ્લેન કોઈ પણ હોય, ક્યાંયની પણ હોય, પણ અમુક પેશન્ટ તો પૂછવા જ જોઈએ. જો પૂછો તો જ ખબર પડે, નહીં તો અધરવાઇઝ યુ વિલ મિસ ધ ડાયગ્નોસિસ. પાસ્ટ એન્ડ પ્રેઝન્ટ મેડિકલ હિસ્ટ્રી. મેડિકલ હિસ્ટ્રી બધા પૂછવું જોઈએ કે કઈ મેડિસિન લો છો, કારણ કે there are many medicines who has side effects like oral steroids કોઈ લેતું હોય patient osteo, so it can lead to osteoporosis. There are few skin diseases where somebody has to give steroids which can lead to osteoporosis. So osteoporosis and related complaint પણ patient ને હોઈ શકે. સર્જિકલ હિસ્ટ્રી પૂછવી જોઈએ. લિથોટોમી પોઝિશન જે કરાવતા હોય છે ઘણીવાર, એમાં ઓન ઓકેઝન ફ્યુમરલ પાલ્સી થતી હોય છે અને બેરિયાટ્રિક સર્જરી કરતા હોય છે, એમાં પણ મલ્ટિપલ વેક કમ્પ્લેન્સ ઘણા બધા પેશન્ટને હોતી હોય છે. સો કઈ પ્રકારની સર્જરી કરી છે, ઇન ધ પાસ્ટ કોઈ સર્જરી કરી છે કે નથી કરી, that can help us to diagnose that the correlation. Men should be asked about habits અને erectile dysfunction. એટલે મેઇનલી હેબિટ પૂછવું જોઈએ, erectile dysfunction પણ પૂછવું જોઈએ, કારણ કે it can be affected because of S1 S2 nerve roots and SOL or space occupying lesion. SOL એટલે space occupying lesion, which is called as tumors also, which can occupy the space of the canal. So okay, again another joke. આ રિયલ છે, મારી ક્લિનિકમાં જ હતું, સાંજનો ટાઈમ હતો. It is evening, late evening, and I was about to close my clinic. There was one last patient to be seen which was operated by us, spine surgery with the Koda Equina syndrome. અને ત્રણ છોકરાઓ હતા, ત્રણ યંગ હતા. એમાંથી જે છોકરો હતો એને ડિસ્ક પ્રોલેપ્સ હતી અને he had Koda Equina syndrome. So I first I asked now he asked me that doctor, it's going to be 1.5 months over after surgery, can I resume my sexual life back now? It was already 1.5 months. So there is certainly a question married will certainly ask, is that umaru sexual life resume kari shaku? I said, why not? You should, because it is already 1.5 months over, so now you should resume your sexual life. So the second friend who said, "Sare pehle shadi to kar." So it was very eye-opening, So before you ask, resume your sexual life, you should always ask about the, are you married or not first. This was really, it happened, and I was like, Mom, what can one can answer? What has happened? So this was the second friend who said, I'm getting a lot of missed calls. So men should be asked about the habits and erectile dysfunction. Now women, they should be asked about the menstrual history. After menopause, more often after 50 years of female, they usually complain of multiple symptoms. They come to you with lot of complaints. હાથમાં, આંગળીમાં, પગમાં, માથામાં, બધી જગ્યાએ દુખતું હોય. So the complaints are irrelevant and which can be correlated with the menstruation history or postmenopausal symptoms which last at least for 2 years. 2 વર્ષ સુધી આવા નાના મોટા symptoms રહેતા હોય છે. So we reassure them at least 1 to 2 years સુધી આવું નાનું મોટું થશે. મલ્ટીવિટામિન સપ્લિમેન્ટ્સ ને બધું લેવાનું હોય. More often problem એવો થતો હોય કે when patient complains multiple symptoms, we start symptomatic treatment. Like આખો હાથ દુખે છે, આ હાથ પણ દુખે છે, તો we give TENS for upper limb. Somebody says મને back pain થાય છે, તો we'll give diathermy also. Now she will say again મને knee pain પણ થાય છે, તો we'll give moist pack also. Knee mobilization, spine mobilization, everything. બધું કમાંથી કશું જ કામ ના કરે, because they do not have any specific etiology for the cause. Maybe till the time they come to you, they will feel better કે તમારે ત્યાં આવતી હતી ત્યાં સુધી સારું હતું, પાછા જ્યારે symptoms પાછા ઘરે જાય એટલે પાછા વધી જાય, because they are not spending time for them and multiple complaints હોય which is non specific. Now again, history about trauma. Normal spinal cases are different and the trauma cases are different. If somebody comes with a trauma, how will you judge about the prognosis? કે prognosis માં કેટલો ફાયદો થશે patient ને કે નહીં થાય, recover થશે કે નહીં થાય? So what I ask more often is date of RTA. Somebody says કે સાહેબ મને 2 વર્ષ પહેલા એક્સિડન્ટ થયો હતો અને I have પેરાસિસ, મારા પગ કામ નથી કરતા, 2 વર્ષ થઈ ગયા છે. તો I will certainly say કે ભાઈ તમે હવે બહુ મહેનત ના કરો છો, જે બી મસલ બાકી રહ્યા છે you train them. હું તમને હોમ પ્રોગ્રામ શીખવાડું છું that you keep on doing at home. You can come here if you want, but no, more often it doesn't give any additional benefit to it. Whatever has been remained, which is called as a rehabilitation. So whatever has remained in upper limb or whatever muscle has been developed in lower limb can be used to rehabilitate or reuse differently to help themselves. So in case of RTA, one can expect duration કે કેટલા ટાઈમ પહેલા થયું હતું એ પ્રમાણેનો પ્રોગ્નોસિસ હોય. જે લોકોને 2 વર્ષ જૂનો RTA થયો હોય, so the prognosis is very less, very poor. Speed. Somebody who has a high velocity accident, they usually have a very poor prognosis. કોઈને high velocity accident થયો હોય, બસમાં, કારમાં, front to front collision થયું હોય with the high speed, they are less likely to recover. So do not comment about the prognosis in such cases. If somebody is just fall down because of, like એક patient હતા મારા, cervical C1 C2, અને એમને હતું ankylosing spondylitis, and then he was wearing a lungi and then he just fell down because he couldn't look down, and he got cervical Anderson lesion and cervical myelopathy. He was a scientist in ISRO, and he recovered completely because it was a low velocity injury and there was quadriplegia, but still he recovers completely. So that is how the speed makes difference. Front to front and back to front. That is a type of, what type of way of injury was, or the mechanism of injury. That can also help to rule out the what type of fracture they have. Consciousness, whether the patient was conscious at the time of injury or not. The most important thing, I attended one seminar of spinal injury center where it was mentioned very well that more often the patient doesn't recover because of they have been transferred poorly. રોડ પર એક્સિડન્ટ થયો, હાઈવે પર એક્સિડન્ટ થયો, બધા માણસો ભેગા થયા, ટીંગાટોળી કર્યા, હાથ પકડ્યા, પગ પકડ્યા, એમને લઈને રિક્ષામાં લઈ ગયા, છકડામાં નાખ્યા, લઈ ગયા હોસ્પિટલ. ત્યાં સુધીમાં સ્પાઇનલ કોર્ડ ઘણું બધું મેનિપ્યુલેશન થઈ ગયું. The manipulation, it becomes manipulated and they more often doesn't recover. So always, if one of us or any, I hope કોઈને ના થાય, but if somebody really met with the accident, so always wait until the ambulance comes with the board and one can shift them in the board and then transfer in the 108. Surgical history can be asked about, કોઈ spine surgery કરાવી હોય, so when was the spine surgery done? Now if you are taking a patient with the hip pathology, you are doubting for the hip pathology and patient already has been operated for the hip, then one should ask about the surgery. ક્યારે કરી હતી? When was the surgery done? Pre-op exit complaint. What was the complaint pre-operative? Operation પહેલા શું complaint હતી? Post operative શું complaint છે હવે? અથવા તો post operative એટલે લગભગ 6 મહિના 12 મહિના પહેલા, 2 વર્ષ પહેલા ઓપરેશન કર્યું હોય, પછી આ post operative, what is the complaint? And the duration of reoccurrence of symptoms, that is very important. Patient may say કે સાહેબ મને ઓપરેશન કરાવ્યું હતું 2 વર્ષ પહેલા, પછી મને ફાયદો જ ના થયો, સેમ પેઇન છે અત્યારે. So when you ask કે ભાઈ વચ્ચે સારું હતું, then they will say yeah, વચ્ચે મને 1.5-2 વર્ષ મને સરસ રહ્યું હતું, આ તો છેલ્લા 6 દિવસથી 15 દિવસ મને પેઇન પાછું વધી ગયું છે અચાનક. So again, one should ask about the recurrence of symptoms ક્યારથી થયા. So that is how one can correlate કે really is it the fault with the surgery or really not fault with the surgery. What was the process that done? હવે patient pre-operatively may be having L4-5 or maybe L4 dermatomal pain, and the disc L4 L5 disc prolapse થઈ હોય, and somebody must have done discectomy of L4 L5, and now the symptoms are above knee, above thigh, like it is L2 L3 dermatome level. So what was the process that done, and does it really have any correlation with the present pain or not? One can really very well find out. So if somebody is operated with the disease or some other cause, one should ask about this listed questions to the patient. So in general, I would like to brief the assessment or total history taking, which includes pain parameters like what I taught on ES machine. One should ask about the pain in intensity, frequency, duration, time, type, area, onset, aggravating, relieving factor, which symptoms are getting aggravation with which position, or which position relieves the symptoms. UMN symptoms, as I said, dexterity and imbalance. So disability should be asked again. What is disability? Acidity, allergy, bladder, bowel. This is how we remember. So acidity, allergy includes all medical history, and bladder, bowel includes bladder and bowel history, which I explained with the Birbal's joke. One should ask about the sleep, past and present history, like medical, personal, surgical, social, psychological, family history. This all things should be asked. we move on to examination. What we do first of all, we ask the patient to walk around. As we said, when we see the patient entering the cabin itself, we diagnose the gait. So when we ask the patient again to just walk around to confirm the diagnosis, whatever we have been thought is right or wrong. So the patient walks around, they come to us. So this is very typical protocol one should make before starting a clinic. Anybody who starts the clinic should make a assessment format that what all things they are going to ask, which will not allow the exclusion of any sign or symptoms to diagnose the patient. So we ask the patient to stand with us, and we ask the patient to turn around, ફરી જાઓ, અને then we ask the patient to bend forward. આગળ નમો અને પગના અંગૂઠા પકડો. એટલે પગના બી સાઈડ પગના અંગૂઠા પકડો. This is what the patient does. પગના અંગૂઠા પકડે. He said, no, આવી રીતે નહીં ભાઈ. You need to turn around and you touch your toes. So the patient will do this. Okay, અંગૂઠા પકડ્યા. So now this is again wrong. You should give a proper command. અંગૂઠા પકડો. અરે હાથના નહીં, પગના અંગૂઠા પકડો. So they will touch the toes like this. They will bend the knee and out real માં થતું હોય છે. This is very true. This happens in our clinic. આવું થતું હોય છે. So again you have to be very specific, and this happens when the doctor is lost. So પગના અંગૂઠા પકડો. અરે આમ નહીં, આગળ નમીને પગના અંગૂઠા પકડો. So patient will touch the toes like this. અરે બાબા આમ નહીં, ડીચણ સિધા રાખો, આગળ નમો અને પગના અંગૂઠા પકડો. So then the actual movement will happen, and this is how one can diagnose the range of motion. So one should ask about this. This is how the પગના અંગૂઠા ROM check થાય. Side bendings should be checked. Extension પાછળ નમીને બતાવો. That also we ask the patient. And એમાં બી ઘણી બધી વખત they move so backward. So always you stand behind the patient so they do not fall. Tenderness. Once the patient is bent forward, side bending will થઈ ગયું, સીધા રાખીને we try to palpate the patient's spine. Okay, tenderness check any, pain check any. So you touch the patient and you ask the patient whether it's painful or not. As I said, ROM જોવાનું હોય. Alarming range of motion is this one, where the patient has a spasm. You can see the movement. This is a stiff, completely tight spine, and the hip. The movement is happening from the hip. So this is very spasm, typical spasm. When we go to Mehsana, as I said, it is just 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes of time to assess the patient. So we check this ROM. Always check the range of motion because it gives a good information. So somebody has a spasm should always be investigated. Spasm હોય તો તમે normal છે એવું કે one cannot say. So always check the spasm is there or not. So range of motion જોવું જોઈએ. Step જોવું જોઈએ. Palpation કરતી વખતે step is a sign associated with the listhesis. Palpate કરીએ એટલે step feel થાય પાછળની બાજુ, and you can say the patient has listhesis. એટલે ઘણું બધું diagnosis history અને assessment ઉપરથી જ થઈ જાય. Just to confirm the diagnosis so that we are not missing anything, one should go for MRI or X-ray as a confirmatory, or the jigsaw puzzle પૂરી કરવા માટે one can go for that. Orientation of the vertebral column on surface પરથી identify કેવી રીતે કરવાનું. So these are the landmarks one can palpate. We palpate this as a C7 a maximum palpated area હોય જે સૌથી prominent હોય. So localized as a prominent. Now as we go down T3, we spine of the scapula palpate થાય. T7 પર inferior angle of the scapula palpate થાય, which is T7. અને the highest point, iliac crest હોય, the highest point where you can feel the PSIS L4. And PSIS is the area where one can palpate S1, S2. S1, S2 PSIS પર palpate થાય. So now to tension test, we check for, now once we palpate the patient, અમે કહીએ patient bed પર સુઈ જાઓ સીધા. When they lie down on the bed, if it is low back, we ask to lie down. If it is cervical spine, we ask the patient to sit in front of us. So what we check for lower limb is SLR, sciatic tibial sural. Now એક જેના bifurcations બધા અલગ અલગ છે. One can palpate that. SLR નું biomechanics આવું હોય છે. The SLR biomechanics is like this, that when you do the SLR, the nerve root moves out of the foramina 2 centimeter. See, I have not taken anatomy this time again because it has been already taken for long time in last talk in part 1, where I taught MRI and X-ray. I took all the anatomy in detail. So I'm not taking anatomy in detail. So this is nerve root which is going out of it, and it moves 1 centimeter out and in when the patient does SLR, or when anybody does the SLR. If it is blocked, or if it is pinched because of the nerve compression, because of some disc prolapse, the nerve is compressed, the nerve root cannot move, and that is how one can say the patient has disc prolapse or compression or not. Most common test for the differential diagnosis what we use at our place is, for cervical spine we use Allen test, thoracic outlet syndrome, which can be very well diagnosed with the Allen test. which I will not tell in detail because it is just one can read from book. I do not want to share it in detail because it will take a lot of time if I start sharing everything in detail. Figure of 4 test is SI stress test. One can check the SI joint to differential diagnosis. Balance test for CTS. Some patient has cervical, hand numbness. So one should go for CTS always to check whether patient has any other compression at the wrist or not. Now these are the UMN tests, which is very important. One can immediately check and say that somebody has UMN symptoms or not. Somebody who tests spine should always check this sign. Finger escape sign is the first sign which I would like to describe. When they ask the patient to show the hand, the patient will show the hand like this. They will have the gap between the little finger and the ring finger. So they will present the arm hand like this with this. Even though you ask the patient to, "Aangli badi begi kari do," then also after some time the finger will escape. So this is called as a finger escape sign, which is associated with the cervical myelopathy. Cervical myelopathy koine પણ હોય, so they will be having this finger escape sign. Grip release test. You ask the patient to release the grip. Now, this is a practical test one can do by themselves. આવી રીતે હાથ રાખવાનું 10 seconds માટે મુઠ્ઠી વાળવાની અને ખોલવાની અને ફટાફટ કરવાનું. જેટલું ફાસ્ટ થાય એટલું ફટાફટ કરવાનો ટ્રાય કરવાનો. If you count for 10 seconds and you have to count the repetition of this finger opening and you have to do it completely open, completely close. આખું ખોલવાનું બંધ કરવાનું. And you can make out કે કેટલી વાર તમે કરી શકો છો. Normal person can આરામ સે do it for 20 times. 20 વખત કોઈ પણ વ્યક્તિ 15 થી 20 વખત easily કરી શકે. Somebody who is cervical myelopathy will not be able to do more than 10 more than 10 times 10 ની આસપાસ કરી શકે 10 થી 12 વાર and they cannot open it completely also આપણે જેટલા open કરી શકીએ. This is the normal. I've shown this that one can open the fingers completely like this and close it like this. 10 seconds 20 times one can do, but somebody who is myelopathic will not be able to do it 20 times. I'll show you a video. um, this is finger escape sign as I shown. Video, okay. Yeah, this is myelopathic hand. This is a video of finger grip release test. So you ask the patient to open and close, and this is how the patient does. This is very slow. They cannot open it completely also. પૂરી હાથ ખોલવાનો કહો તો એ ખુલ્લા પૂરા બી નથી કરી શકતા. You can see this hand is not getting open completely. So this is finger grip release test. Grip release test. This is one sign. Second sign is Hoffman sign. On tapping of the index finger of the patient, when we normal person will not have any symptoms or any sign positive. Like if when you tap on the index finger, nothing will happen. But if the patient, if you tap on the patient's index finger or middle finger, the two finger that is on the side of it, thumb and the long finger will go for flexion and adduction like this. This will happen. So now you can see this is a positive patient who has cervical myelopathy. And you can see the index finger going for flexion and adduction, and thumb is also going for flexion and adduction. I'll show you once again. Now you see this is adduction and flexion of the finger which is happening. So she has myelopathic sign positive. Romberg sign I will not show because it is very common and everybody knows it, how to assess. So grip release test. As I show the video, one will not be able to open it completely, and even if it is opening, it will open like this. Now this is Hoffman reflex, tapping on the middle finger, as I said. Scapulohumeral reflex, or somebody can say deltoid reflex also. Tapping on the deltoid normally doesn't give any reflex. Tapping on the deltoid will give abduction of the hand if somebody has a level or lesion above C3. And once you see the deltoid reflex, and if it is positive, you can say the lesion is, if the Hoffman is positive, the finger escape is positive, the grip release is positive, but the deltoid is negative, one can very well say that lesion is below C3, C4, because the deltoid is supplied by C4. So if the deltoid reflex is positive, that means somebody can say this, that is the lesion between above C3, or maybe it is high cervical lesion. So this is how one can diagnose the level of lesion after on checking signs like deltoid reflex. So one can tap on the deltoid with the hammer, and they will be having this movement, not this high, but then somebody will be having this movement of abduction of the shoulder. Myelopathic hand indicates the level above C6, C7. Somebody has thinner eminence atrophy. Somebody has a wasting of the thinner eminence, and they have finger escapes and positive. So someone one can say, certainly say that lesion is somewhere above C6 or C7 because this is C8, opening fingers. Other examinations for associated diagnosis will be like hip and access stress, neurological examination like power, reflexes, that is MMT. Reflexes one can check. Sensory doesn't give much input because as I said, last time, if the PID is central, will be compressing all the nerve root which is traversing down, that is C2, L2, L3, PID high. It will be compressing all the nerve roots below L3, L4, L5, and everything will be compressed. So patient will be having whole lower limb numbness or whole lower limb pain if they have disc prolapse of L2, L3. If the disc prolapse is lateral in the foramina, will be having a specific dermatomal distribution symptoms. So in that case, the sensory will be important for but certainly for the theory for kids, somebody who is assessing theoretically, one should certainly always assess the sensory, but it is not the most important thing one can say. Circulation should not be missed because the symptoms of the spinal stenosis is usually as match as comparable as the vascular claudication. Somebody has a vascular claudication will be having the same symptoms of the neurological claudication. So how to differentially diagnose it, we will see in the later slides. But one should always palpate the circulation. We palpate the circulation at dorsalis pedis and posterior tibial arteries. Now, this is Gordon-Waddell criteria. If this was all what we learned about is a genuine symptomatic specific kind of pain. Now, if somebody you feel like यार कि खबर નથી પડતી આ બધી જાત બધા symptoms દેખાય છે તો how can you assess there is psychological overlay or not? You cannot say that somebody is psychological overlay or not without assessing them. So these are the criteria of psychological assessment, or one can say the psychological overlay છે કે નહીં, Gordon-Waddell criteria. So Waddell described this criteria in 1998, and you can see very well, tapping on the right knee is giving the reflex on the left knee. So that criteria are made up of five symptoms, five signs and tests. One is tenderness. So somebody superficial tenderness. So somebody who has superficial tenderness, like tenderness is what, pressing the area should be painful. So somebody has tenderness on touching itself is overreaction, or you can say is a superficial tenderness. So that is not a genuine tenderness. So one can consider this as a psychological overlay. Just touching the pain. Oh, just when you touch the patient, they will say, "Oh, aaj jagah dukhiyo." So touching will not increase the pain. The pressing will increase the pain. Now, distraction test. When you see the patient, doing the SLR, I just, I did not hide the mask because, I just wanted everybody to see the symptoms. When you do the SLR, the patient will be having a lot of pain. But when you do the SLR in sitting, so this is flip test, will be not being any symptoms on the face. Even this is also SLR, this is SLR in sitting and this is SLR in lying, because patient has been passing through a lot of doctors, many doctors. They know that SLR should be painful. So on occasion, they can mimic that also. So to avoid that, one can behave as if we can behave as if we are palpating the pulse of dorsalis pedis, and we do the SLR and we check whether it is symptomatic or not, and patient will not be knowing that we are checking the SLR. Simulated test. So this is like spine rotation test. If somebody stands with the legs on the sides with the broadened base and rotate the spine, is rotation of the spine. But if somebody stands with the legs together and rotate from the ankle, you ask the patient to stand with the ankle together and you hold the hands with the body and you rotate the patient like this. So the movement will happen with the ankle. So it will not lead to spine pain. So somebody still says, "Ke na na mane pain થાય છે," that means it is, they are false. Axial loading. When you ask the patient to sit and you press the cervical spine, certainly it should not increase the back pain. So there is again axial loading will not increase the back pain. If that is positive, that is another half mark. So by now it is 1 mark, 2 mark, and this is half and half. So this is 3 marks. These are the 3 marks. And now fourth mark will be for regional sign. Whole leg numbness. Somebody will say, "No, કે મને આખો પગ જ દુખે છે." તમે પૂછો ને કે એક્ઝેક્ટલી કયો એરિયા પેઇનફુલ છે, તમારો હાથ મૂકીને બતાવો. અરે સાહેબ આખો પગ જ દુખે છે. So there is again negative marking for that. So that can be considered fourth mark. Overreaction. When the patient will complain with the cleansing, like siskara bolave, or these are the signs, oh, these are the signs of overreaction. So one can say, આવું ઓવરરિએક્શન normally જોવા ના મળે. If this overreaction is seen, that can be considered as a psychological overlay. Now again I repeat, these are the 5 marks. Out of this, if somebody has a 3 mark positive, then only one can say there is a psychological overlay. What is the meaning of psychological overlay? Patient ગાંડા છે એવું નથી. Patient has a psychological overlay. Patient has some depression or some other psychological problems which is overlapping on the symptoms of the spine or disease. Now, last I would say about confusing presentation. So these are the common combinant pathology. So there are two pathologies going together. So one is the peripheral neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy. If the patient has UMN symptoms like cervical spinal cord compression, patient will be having Barbican sign positive, will be having some will be having knee hyperreflexia, one will be having knee jerk, hyperreflexia, hypertonia. So these are the UMN symptoms which will be positive. But if the patient has diabetic neuropathy overlapping the cervical myelopathy, all UMN sign will disappear. Patient's plantar will be absent. Parkinson sign will not be elicitable. Knee will not be elicitable. The tone will be again normal tone, maybe a hypotonia, or you cannot judge what type of it is. The tone will be also hidden because of the diabetes. So always ask about the diabetes when you ask about the history. And other diseases like, as I said, medical conditions like osteoporosis or any other hypertension, BP, diabetes. So one should ask about all the conditions. Now the second is the tandem stenosis. Tandem is two person riding a cycle, tandem cycling. And tandem stenosis means the compression at the two different level is called as tandem stenosis. So somebody who has cervical myelopathy, as I said, will be having plantar upgoing or maybe Parkinson positive, hyperreflexia, hypertonia. But again, the same patient with the cervical myelopathy with lumbar stenosis with significant compression at the lumbar level will be having absent of plantar, absent Parkinson sign, absent of knee reflex, absent of tone. So you can not be able to judge the cervical myelopathy, and one can very well say the patient has only lumbar stenosis and he can be treated as lumbar stenosis. But in that case, that is why I asked if there was a cervical imbalance and dexterity કેમ પૂછવાનું. So you do not miss the diagnosis of cervical spine. So હાથનું કોઈ complaint હોય, તો one should always check about the Romberg. So if the Romberg is positive, if the upper limb Hoffman sign, if the finger grip release test, so these all are sign positive, and the lower limb signs are negative, like plantar, Barbican sign, like hyperreflexia. If they are all absent, one can very well say the patient has tandem stenosis. They mask the hyperreflexia and myelopathic signs. Now, as a physiotherapist, we should be knowing which are all conditions which can be treated by us very well. So somebody who has real indication like stiffness, like PA shoulder or in knee stiffness or elbow stiffness, can be certainly very well treated by a physiotherapist. And for that, they don't need to go to anybody else. Neurological deficit, somebody has foot drop, but if it is decompressed, or like spinal compression, spinal stenosis, if somebody has, and if he has or she has a foot drop, then it can be very well treated with the surgery first, and then once the decompression happens, it can be treated with the physiotherapy. In that case, the rehabilitation term comes, or the physiotherapy comes, and that nobody else can do as better as us or as good as us. Post-operative patients can be very well treated by us. Aged patient who doesn't want to take medicine, somebody says કે મને આ બધી medicine લેવી નથી ગમી income મને just physiotherapy કરાવડાવું છે, so they can very well take a physiotherapy. Obesity monitoring are done by us at the moment. Neuromonitoring is another branch which is developing. Neuromonitoring એટલે intraoperative operation દરમિયાન physiotherapy monitors the neurons and everything with the computer and software. So the surgeon and patient get good outcome and credit. So this is the another branch which is developing at the present. It is called as intraoperative neuromonitoring, IONM. So these are the real indication for physiotherapy. Somebody who has green flags like normal muscle power, normal bladder bowel, normal gait, and no human, no element symptoms like no radiculopathies or myelopathies. So we can very well treat them without investigation. કોઈ investigation ની જરૂર નથી. We can just treat them without investigation. Somebody who is affording, they can say, yes, my medicine નથી લેવી, મને physiotherapy, we charge high for the physiotherapy. We treat them. There are trusts which treats them with the lower cost, but then there are private centers which has to survive with the good charges. So one charges 500 rupees, 200 rupees, 600 rupees, 700 rupees. So if the patient is affording and they do not want to take a treatment of medicines, like my medicine really side, મને પોસાય છે physiotherapy કરાવડાવી, મારે આવું છે તમારે ત્યાં. So one can very well say, okay, bhai, you can, it is up to you. You decide if you want to come, you can come. Somebody who doesn't want to take medicine and benign back pain, simple નાનું મોટું back pain હોય, we can say, bhai, તમે નક્કી કરો, you can, take local GP treatment and you can come to me for the home planning exercises, and you can directly come to me and you can have physiotherapy. Now, these are the patients who can be treated by us. Yellow flags, they come in the yellow flags. They have acute lumbar strain or mechanical symptoms. They should be kept under observation. Like somebody who is with the spasm, with 2 days of spasm, because somebody has 2 days of spasm may have simple acute lumbar catch also. So for such cases, one should wait at least for 10 days. And if 10 days if they do not give response to the physiotherapy, then the head should scratch. One should go for investigation like MRI or X-rays. My personal best choice is X-ray because it is very cheaper in cost and more often it gives more often all information, which I will be showing you. So acute lumbar strain and mechanical symptoms are yellow flags and should be kept under observation and investigation if required. If somebody has a bladder bowel affected or neurological deficit due to mechanical compression, when a significant compression હોય and a severe agonizing pain, somebody has agonizing pain, weight loss થયો હોય. So these are the cases where one should always investigate first before treating. Or if you do not investigate them, you cannot diagnose them. One should always refer to the general practitioner or to the surgeon, and then they can refer back to you if it is not their case or if they're not surgical. More often such cases are surgical or maybe the disease which should be diagnosed first. So these are the red flags. Patient with the muscle weakness, acute pain, fever, generalized illness, bladder bowel involvement, spastic gait, Rombach positive, imbalance in walking, and if no relief in 10 days, one should always investigate. So this was 40 years female with low back pain since 3 months. Just finishing the talk with the last example of the case. Last low back pain with 3 months of pain and no lower limb complaint. Simple back pain since 3 months. On bed rest since 3 weeks because she must be advised by somebody. Sleep was disturbed. So this is again a significant sign. Exercise done 15 days, no significant relief. On analgesics and muscle relaxant. So they have consulted maybe general practitioner or maybe other physician or other surgeons who has given medicines and muscle relaxant. So these all are the symptoms which patient said there was no much relief. So what we assessed our center is spasm, significant. There was some significant spasm. So that means there is something which is missing because 15 days of spasm should not be there. Power was normal, reflexes were normal. The thing which was positive was SI stress. Left SI stress was positive. Significant limb. SLR was 40° on the left side. The patient had significant limb. The X-ray and MRI was all normal, which was done in the past. Already it was done in the past. You can say there is no compression on MRI, even on the axial cut also. But what we advised was because it was SI stress positive, we advised screening of SI joint and hip joint. And what we found was this edema on the left SI joint. So this is called as a sacroiliitis, which shows the edema of the SI joint on the left side. So what I want to convey from this is the MRI and X-ray reading is not all. Even though I had taken it first, just wanted to make sure the physiotherapy community should learn X-ray and MRI reading. But then still also, the MRI and X-ray is not the first one to diagnose. It is always the history. Examination should always match with the MRI. So this is what we call as a clinical radiological correlation. So clinical symptoms and signs should match with the with the MRI or X-ray or any investigations. Last but not least, what we assess is patient with the these are the black spots on the shirt. You can say these are the holes. બીડી જે લોકો બીડી બહુ પીતા હોય ને એ લોકોને આવા હોલ્સ થઈ જાય શર્ટ પર. એટલે એ વખતે તો સ્ટ્રાઇક થવું જ જોઈએ કે પલ્સ પાલ્પેટ કરવાનું ભૂલવાનું નથી. And in that case, one is you ask patient કે કેટલી બીડી પીવો છે દિવસમાં. So they will get certainly impressed કે સાહેબ તમને કઈ રીતે ખબર બીડી પીધી છે. So it is all shown on the shirt. So this is last but not the least, but this is the observation one can do. So this was all about the assessment, history, and examination. I'll be switching over to the next. This is about differential diagnosis. How to differentially diagnose the spinal conditions. Now these are all the short topics. I'll be finishing in 1 hour. Because we have only 1 hour left now. So lumbar spine differential diagnosis, I'll say the symptomatology of the each conditions and which how it can differentiate from the other condition. So somebody has a disc herniation will be having impulse positive. What is impulse is Valsalva test. If you ask the patient to cough or sneeze, they will be having pain in lower limb. So disc prolapse usually they are impulse positive. Flexion and rotation are painful. Uh, Lower limb pain, LLP means lower limb pain is more than the back pain because the nerve root pain is very agonizing than the back pain. Increases with the sitting. Sitting increases the pain is usually disc prolapse pain. Patient says કે હું સાહેબ 5 મિનિટ સુધી બેસી નથી શકતી મારે ઉભા રહેવું તો ઉભા રહી શકું છું સૂવું હોય તો સૂઈ શકું છું that is disc herniation pain. More often it is unilateral than the bilateral, but then on occasion it is bilateral also. Depends on the disc prolapse on the which side it is. Physical examination ma spasm, they will be having spasm significant. um, they will have lateral tilt also like this. SLR restricted હોય. When you do the SLR it is restricted. Cross SLR positive હોય. So now the cross SLR, what is cross SLR? When you do the SLR of the right lower limb, even though the left lower limb is painful in general, the right SLR will lead to pain on the left side also. So left SLR is also positive. So this is called as a cross SLR. So these are the patients who are indicated for the surgery. More often they need surgery. So they do not respond well within few days, then one should advise to consult a surgeon. This is again an example of disc prolapse. I'll just briefly show the MRI because there are a few who may not have attended the last session of MRI and X-ray reading. Will show you this. A disc prolapse with the Schmorl's node on above. This is again a Schmorl's node. This is called as a central disc prolapse. This is called as a posterior disc prolapse with the retrolisthesis of L5S1 and diffuse disc bulge with normal facets and normal ligamentum flavum. Everything else is normal. These are the chorda equina. Now this is limbus vertebra. This is anterior disc prolapse. When the disc prolapse anteriorly, it breaks the anterior disc and it bulges out. It extrudes outside the disc. So this is called as a limbus vertebra, which is non-symptomatic more often because anterior disc prolapse doesn't compress the nerve root or nerve or cord. So they do not have more often. They do not have any symptoms. The Schmorl's node, as I said, central disc prolapse. Disc prolapse can happen three ways: posteriorly, anteriorly, and centrally. Anterior is limbus vertebra. Central is a Schmorl's node. That is also a non-symptomatic. Here you can see the Schmorl's node very well on X-ray. This is the X-ray of Schmorl's node, and this is the CT scan of Schmorl's node. You cannot see the muscle and everything nicely, so this is CT scan where you can see enhanced quality of the bone. It can be seen nicely on bones on CT scan. And this is the MRI where you can see all structures, including bones and soft tissues. So this is Schmorl's node with the single disc degeneration. Spondylolisthesis. Now they usually have chronic dull pain. The listhesis doesn't happen over the night. So more often this is chronic pain. વર્ષોના પેઇન હોય 25 વર્ષથી બેક પેઇન છે 30 વર્ષથી બેક પેઇન છે 15 વર્ષથી બેક પેઇન છે so these are the chronic pain with the listhesis along the belt line. Listhesis alpha S1 નો જે હોય એ belt line ના એરિયામાં હોય. Now back pain is more than the lower limb, reverse than the PID. PID has lower limb pain more than the back pain, whereas listhesis more often they have back pain more than the lower limb pain. Logrol is painful, mechanical pain. When they turn on the bed, it is painful. When they sit out of the bed, stand out of the bed, sitting to standing, standing to sitting, all mechanical kind of pain. Patient may have obese. They usually, they are obese. Hyperlordotic cow. They usually have a hyperlordotic cow. Lumbopelvic rhythm is altered. It is like, when you bend forward, the lumbopelvic rhythm is simply what you can say is there agonami, there a spine goes first and pelvis rotates afterwards. When coming up, the pelvis rotates first and then the spine comes afterwards. Whereas in the altered lumbopelvic rhythm, what happens, when you bend forward, the spine moves first and then the pelvis rotates. While coming up, the spine comes first and then they lock the spine with the hands on the knee and then they become straight with the pelvis. So there is altered lumbopelvic rhythm because of the listhesis, because there is a lack of connection between the two segments of the spine. Physical examination step palpate થાય. You can feel the step. You can palpate the step. Spasm, they may have spasm. hamstring tightness is very commonly seen with somebody who has listhesis. So this is the listhesis. You can see on MRI there is no compression on the lobe on sagittal cut of single cut, but this is listhesis, and the disc has been destructed completely. Grade 2 listhesis over here on MRI. Maybe you can say grade 2, grade 3 listhesis with significant disc degeneration. Now this is again a Scottish dog appearance. When the X-ray is taken oblique, so in X-ray this is a body. Now this is just image to show you anatomy. This is a body, transverse process. This is upper articular surface, and this is lower articular surface, which makes the facet joint above and below. Now connecting line between the above and superior and inferior articular surface is called as a pars. So on oblique X-ray you can see this is pars. This is lysis. So Scottish dog appearance can be seen in lysis. You can see this lysis. This is normal Scottish dog, where you can see this is lysis over here because the pars is broken. Now this is instability. 543 L3 L4. There is instability, and instability happens three ways. One is the single like sliding. One can happen with rotatory instability, and third can be a sliding with rotatory. So this we can say it is just a rotatory instability because there is no major sliding of the vertebra. More of it is just a rotatory movement of the spine. Spondylolysis. This is spondylolysis, where you get a pars interarticular is broken, which has the same symptoms like listhesis only. And this is a CT scan where you can see superior articular surface, inferior articular surface, and this is the pars. Superior articular surface, inferior articular surface, and this is the pars. Whereas this is superior articular surface, inferior articular surface, and this is the pars, which is broken. So that is lysis on CT scan. You cannot see any muscle or any other tissue, soft tissue. CT scan can show only bones nicely. Lumbar canal stenosis. So somebody who has mild back pain or no back pain, stenosis patient, they usually do not have any back pain. They have only neurological claudication, mainly tingling, numbness, heaviness, kind of fatigue. પગ ભારે થઈ જાય, પગ થાકી જાય, પગ થાંભલા જેવા થઈ જાય, પગમાં ખાલી ચડી જાય. This all are the complaint of somebody who has stenosis. જ્યારે somebody who has a disc prolapse will be saying સાહેબ પગમાં સણકા મારે, ઝાટકા મારે, લબકારા મારે. These are the signs of PID. More often they do not have pain, but on occasion they may have pain. More of a claudication they have. This is the example of stenosis where you can see L2, L3. This is the normal MRI. This is normal MRI where there is no stenosis seen anywhere with the good CSF around. These are the cord. This is the conus medullaris. This is the chorda equina going down. Whereas you can see here the conus medullaris is here. It is high ending cord. The cord is ending little higher. Normally it ends at L1, L2 over here, but then cord is ending over on the high side, where the chorda equina going down, and the compression is at L2, L3. This is the posterior disc, and this is the anterior. This is ligamentum flavum. The black thing which is over here is ligamentum flavum, which is non-continuous ligament and which attaches from the lamina to lamina. And the hypertrophy of the ligamentum flavum can compress the roots from behind. So this is hypertrophied ligamentum flavum with the stenosis at L2, L3 and L3, L4. There is mild stenosis over here, but then major stenosis is L2, L3 and L3, L4 with the disc is dehydrated at L4, L5. Somebody who has a Cox spine, they will be having fever. And surprisingly, nowadays we can see many patients without fever, without weight loss, and without appetite loss. But these are the symptoms usually seen on Cox spine patients. Somebody who has a Cox, they will be having fever, weight loss, and appetite loss, or at least any one of these symptoms. Local back pain is more. Agony is significant. Patient cannot move at all. They usually come with the, either as I said, they usually come with the hand supporting the chin, or they usually come with the hand is inside the pocket. So the hand can pass the spinal load through the pocket to the lower limb, and the spine is not able to bear the load because it is distracted. Generalized illness. You can see the patient is generalized ill. Now you can see this is a MRI of Cox spine with the normal disc here and here, but the disc over here is distracted, and the epidural abscess, the dura, the outside space of the dura, where you can see this is an abscess going down from here to here, and some abscesses are going above on over here, and anterior part over here. So this is the example of Cox spine. On X-ray, it looks like this. They have good, nice end plates over here, but then the end plate over here it is not seen clearly. It is destructed and damaged, and you can say destruction of the end plate. So which is very common X-ray of Cox spine. So one should always look for the ABC alignment, bone quality, and cartilage. That is discs or ligaments. This is another MRI of Cox spine where one can see a abscess pouch like here. Like you can this is going how down here, and here is the psoas muscle. This is the coronal cut of the spine. The spine is cut from the frontal plane. So this is the coronal cut of the spine. Vertebrae are seen, the discs are seen, and the abscess in psoas muscle. But the other side, the psoas muscle going down from L1, L2 is like this, and the other side psoas muscle is going down like this, and the abscess is attached with the psoas muscle, which can be seen nicely on the axial cut over here. So this is axial cut, a coronal cut, coronal plane, a horizontal plane, and this is the abscess on the right side of the spine. MRI, one has to see the right side is on the left side and left side is on the right side. The view when you see. So this is the right side abscess with the left abscess psoas is normal. So the example of psoas abscess in Cox spine. Discitis, there is again again a type of Cox spine with some other kind of infection which is affecting primarily the disc. Severe agony, fever, no radicular pain, night pain is significant. So anybody who has Cox spine or discitis, infective pathology, will be having night pain. Again, I repeat the same thing. They have night pain more than the day pain. So T1, the Cox spine, the abscess becomes black, and in this, the becomes bright on coronal plane, and the disc is affected again here. Facetal alignment. Normally, the facetal alignment is like this. Cervical, the facets are more of the horizontal plane. The coronal, the horizontal plane. As it goes down, it becomes coronal and dorsal spine. And lumbar, it goes more of towards the sagittal plane. So from top to bottom, the facetal alignment changes. And again, other things to know is as the age increases, the facetal alignment again changes. So this is how the facetal alignment are like that. Now cervical is horizontal. The facet of the dorsal spine is in the coronal plane, and the facets of the lumbar spine is sagittal plane. But again, when it comes to L5S1, the facet of the L5S1 is usually again in the coronal plane. So if it is not there, if the patients are sagittal, facets are sagittal in L5S1, then one can say it is a sagittalization of the facet, which can have symptoms like if you see this one, this is the normal X-ray where one can see the facet joints are here. These are the facet joint. This is another facet joint over here. A line like this. Inferior articular surface. This is the superior articular surface of the facet joint, and now we can see you cannot see the facet joint over here because it is coronal. So now it is overlapping each other. Whereas in this X-ray, you can see this is the facet joint of alpha S1, which is not in a horizontal, which is not in a sagittal plane. So you can say this is facetal trophism, alpha S1. This is normal facet on both the sides, like this. Whereas you can see a good facet over here, but the facet over here is atrophied, or you can say malformed facet or atrophied. This is called as a facetal trophism. Somebody who has a facetal pain will be having more of pain and extension. Facetal OA. Now, this is another facet which is normal on both the sides. This is the facet joint. This is another facet joint. But the facet joint over here is normal, whereas over here the facet joint is arthritic facet joint. So somebody who has diagnosed as somebody who you feel this patient has facet pain, how will they give the history? They usually have extension painful and rotation painful. Radiates maximum till knee. Somebody who has facet pain will be having back pain primarily, may radiate down to the buttocks, may radiate down to the thigh, posterior thigh, or till the knee. Physical examination pain often reproduces with the extension and rotation. If you have the patient to do the extension and rotation, they will say, this is the pain area, now it is paining. So this is the facetal pathology. Now this is, stenosis. Normal cauda equina is over here on the sagittal cut. This is a sagittal cut. This is a disc. Whereas the cauda equina here is clumped together. and this is the ligamentum flavum, which is hypertrophied, V shape. No, this is the ligamentum flavum, which is behind is normal. The ligamentum flavum here is V shape and hypertrophied, so which is producing the stenosis. I'll go for this. I will not go for this IDD and IDR because it is little not important than required to discuss. Acute muscle strain, unaccustomed activity. Somebody who is not used to do the activity and they do such activity can lead to acute muscle strain and will be having a single spasm and pain on specific movement. The pain is not continuous. Pain akho divas na hoy. When they do the specific movement, like when they do like rotation, or they may do the bending, or they may do this specific movement on single movement, which is painful. So they usually can be diagnosed as a single acute muscle strain. Piriformis syndrome, if it is compressed, the sciatic nerve is compressed in the piriformis, will be having symptoms of piriformis syndrome or radiculopathy, same like sciatica. But on checking the piriformis tightness with the rotation, with the patient's lying supine with crossing the leg on the opposite side and knee bend and internally rotate the thigh will increase the symptoms of sciatic nerve. Symptoms of sciatic nerve or shooting pain is called as piriformis syndrome. And they usually do not have back pain. They have only pain starting from buttock to thigh or to the ankle. That is all. Now, how to differentiate between the neurological claudication and vascular claudication? This is the more of an asked question by students and everybody who assess the spine. So, I'll not show the image. Somebody who has neurological claudication, walking uphill. Like, what is neurological claudication? When the patient bends forward or anybody bends forward, will have a narrowing the foramina, will compress the nerve root and will increase the symptoms. So extension will increase the foraminal compression, will be having the symptoms of the claudication, is neurological claudication. Whereas bending forward will reduce the symptoms of neurological claudication because the nerve is free now, because bending forward will increase the foraminal diameter and the nerve root is compressed, which is free. So the symptoms will reduce on bending forward for stenosis patient. Now somebody who is having vascular claudication, what is vascular claudication? So the vascular supply to the muscle is blocked, or the muscle's demand for the vascular supply is more and get fatigue, like like running, climbing. So these all are things which needs blood supply and which cannot be supplied, is diagnosed as vascular claudication. Now walking uphill, if somebody has neurological claudication, if they walk uphill, because they are walking uphill, nobody will walk uphill with the extension, they will walk uphill with the bending forward posture. So when they walk with the bending forward posture, will open the foraminal diameter and will reduce the compression of the nerve. So the compression will now will reduce and the symptoms will reduce. But climbing uphill is a demanding job. So if somebody has a block in artery, will not be able to supply the muscle, blood supply to the muscle of the calf, and calf will get fatigue. So they will be having vascular claudication. So climbing uphill is, if it is claudicated, it is because of the vascular supply. Walking downhill, nobody will walk downhill with the bent posture. कोई व्यक्ति आगे नमीने downhill ना उतरे. Anybody will be climbing down will be in extension posture, will be having nerve compression. So if the stenosis or claudication happens, it is usually a vascular, is a neurological claudication. When patient goes down, muscle needs a supply, a blood supply, but not to up to the limit, not up to that limit that it get claudicated. So the demand is still less. So they will be having some pain, but not the full pain, like the neurological claudication happens. Again, the cycling. Cycling can be done with the bend forward posture. Nobody will ride the cycle like this on extension posture. So again, when somebody cycle, do the bicycling, bending forward will open the foraminal diameter, so the nerve root will be decompressed. So while climbing or cycling, if there is claudication, it is more of a vascular claudication because the muscle needs blood supply while cycling, and they do not get a blood supply and that get claudicated. Whereas the neurological claudication will be relieved on bicycling test. Another thing to do to differentiate between the vascular and neurological claudication is palpating the pulse. If the pulses are present nicely, you can feel the dorsal split pulse, but not go for Doppler. One can very well say that vascular is normal. So now one should rule out for the neurological. So there is a significance of palpating the vascular. Symptomatology can vary from person to person, but the vascular palpation examination will not vary. So when you assess the patient, always check the dorsal split pulse and posterior tibial artery pulse. So this was about the spinal lower spine, lumbar spine differential diagnosis. Somebody has a dorsal spine. Now, how to differentiate between dorsal conditions? These are the X-rays of dorsal spine, normal X-rays, and normal MRI without any compression. Ankylosing spondylitis. They usually have a dorsal pain and SI area pain. Morning stiffness, better of the bath. They usually dorsal spine is bent and with the kyphosis. So one can very well diagnose from the posture itself that this is ankylosing spondylitis. So morning stiffness, they feel better after the bath, and young population they have. Somebody with the same kyphosis with the old age, one can say very well it is osteoporotic, not because of ankylosing. This is the X-ray of ankylosing, where you can see the bamboo spine, which is anterior syndesmophytes are fused. The vertebrae are fused with each other, and here the SI joint is also fused. There is no SI joint on the other side. Here you can see some SI joint area which is still spared, and this is the bamboo spine with nodes. Gat je kehvaye ne? Disc ma gat. So these are the nodes of bamboo. And this is bamboo spine. This is typical posture of ankylosing spondylitis. This is what we call as a Anderson lesion. Somebody who has fracture with the ankylosing spondylitis. This is ankylosing spondylitis where the vertebrae are fused and each other. And somebody who has got this fracture is over here, three-column injury. The anterior column, the middle column, and the posterior column. The three of these are broken. So this is Anderson lesion. Anderson lesion is usually has a poor prognosis and they require surgery. Somebody who has Anderson lesion is less likely to fuse each other because ankylosing doesn't give a good rewarding outcome for Anderson lesion, and they are more of an end up with a surgical intervention. This is another MRI of ankylosing spondylitis. As I discussed last time on my MRI session, we call ankylosing as a cheater because ankylosing on MRI it looks like ankylosing, it looks like tuberculosis or another kind of any kind of metastasis. So you can see the spine ekdam kharab lage. You can see that choti gayu chhe, gadbad chhe. So it is actually ankylosing spondylitis. More often you see the MRI of ankylosing and one can make out that this is ankylosing and this is not. Again, this is ligament flavum from behind, which is compressing from behind, so dorsal myelopathy. As I said, dorsal myelopathy patient, they usually have a imbalance, UMN positive. Now, winking owl sign. This is normal MR X-ray. You can see the pedicle. These are the pedicles. Round. These are pedicles. This is also pedicle. This is also pedicle. So one can see alignment is properly aligned, very well aligned. Everything is normal on this side. So this is normal X-ray. Here you can see these are the pedicles, which is aligned with each other. And this is the pedicle which is not seen properly over here. So we call it as a winking owl sign. Normally metastasis, any other malignancy, it starts from pedicle, and infections like TB or discitis, they usually start from the disc. This is very common difference between the infection and metastasis in malignancies. Malignancy affects more of the posterior element like arch, pedicles, laminas, whereas the disc, the infection usually starts from disc and paradiscal sites. See, I'm going a little faster because we have very less short of time, and I have to explain you a lot of things. So it is kind of 2020. Radiculopathy with cervical arm pain, somebody will lie like this, will be having significant disc prolapse like this. This is a disc prolapse, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C5, C6, extruded disc, which is compressing the cord and on the pain, the radiculopathy on the left side. So kind of patients, they behave and they come like this with severe agony, severe pain. They will be keeping the hand on the head, or they'll be keeping the hand like this, or they may not be comfortable in any position also. This is called as a OPLL, the posterior longitudinal ligament. This is the anterior longitudinal ligament which comes anteriorly. This is a posterior longitudinal ligament which is hypertrophied or ossified, and it compresses the cord. You can see the CSF flow. As I said, in last session, that to see the MRI of cervical spine is a little difficult, but what one can see very well is the flow of the CSF. You can see the flow of CSF is quite good over here, but then the flow is blocked over here, and the flow again starts over here. So this is a myelopathy with multiple segments affected and compressing the cord. So last two slides of take-home message. Take-home message I would like to share is clinico-radiological correlation is must. One should not diagnose the patient from only MRI or any X-ray. One should always read, assess the patient thoroughly with history, examination, and it should match always with the. This is the word I'm usually, I'm using is always. More often, in my last slides I have used word is more often, occasionally, obvious, like sometimes, because it is not necessary all the time. Somebody has a spasm will be having PID only, so that all can vary, but all together should be always. If you assess the history, examination, and MRI, then you should not say it usually. It is the diagnosis. Have a re-evaluation of the patient when necessary. So if the patient doesn't get relief in 10 days, do not continue with the same treatment. One should re-evaluate with the investigations. Don't comment for the sake of commenting. Like images reporting is mechanical process. So somebody MRI in a report se banta hoy this is usually mechanical process. Somebody is the radiologist see the MRI or X-ray and they mention in the MRI and X-ray reporting the patient has a bulge, patient has a mild compression on the theca, uh, or on nerve root, but then not necessary all the time there should be a significant compression, because more often the terminology should be read mild, moderate. More often what happens, the physiotherapist reads or anybody who reads the MRI report will say ગાદીની bulge છે, disc no bulge છે. So patient will come to you and say, doctor, I have L4 L5 disc bulge. Bulge is not a big thing, there are many who will be having disc bulge, but then if it is symptomatic or not, that is very important. So reporting is a mechanical process, so always read the MRI films rather than reading the reports. Each word said by us is carried by the patient. It is better not to comment rather than the commenting the wrong. So if you do not know the diagnosis, just mention that, I am not sure about what is diagnosis. You are under observation. તમારે અમારે ત્યાં 10 દિવસ આવવું પડશે. નો મોર ઓફન વોટ હેપન્સ કે પેશન્ટનું ડાયગ્નોસિસ થઈ જતું હોય છે તરત ને તરત. પણ ઘણીવાર એવું પણ બનતું હોય છે કે હું તમને પ્રોપર ડાયગ્નોસિસ તરત ના કરી શકું. તમારે 10 દિવસ રેગ્યુલર આવવું પડશે અને હું તમને રેગ્યુલર તમને ફોલોઅપ મારીશ અને આઈ વિલ બી એબલ ટુ ટેલ યુ એટ ધ એન્ડ ઓફ 10 days કે ભાઈ તમને ડાયગ્નોસિસ તમારું શું છે. And we can reach to some conclusion at the end rather than commenting wrong. ભાઈ તમને ગાદીનો ઘસારો છે કે મણકાનો ઘસારો છે. What is મણકાનો ઘસારો? મણકાનો ઘસારો is just aging, is degeneration. Spondylosis. What is spondylosis? Spondylosis is degeneration. It is not a disease. One cannot say કે તમને spondylosis છે. So patient get worried when you say such words. So we all are in the learning phase, and please follow the medical ethics with your patients and colleagues. અને ખાસ કરીને કલીગ્સ ભાઈ આને કર્યું ખોટું કર્યું, આને કર્યું બરાબર ના કર્યું, તમને આવું કર્યું, આવું તો ના કરવું જોઈએ, આ ટ્રીટમેન્ટ તો ના આપવી જોઈએ. So we are colleagues, we should work for each other. આજે તમે કોઈના માટે કહો છો, somebody will can tell about you also. Take home message, raise your value. એટલે વેલ્યુ રેઝ કરવી જોઈએ. One should always learn to see X-ray, MRI reporting વાંચતા આવડવું જોઈએ. Say no to the contraindicated patients. જે પેશન્ટને જરૂર ના હોય ફિઝિયોથેરાપીની, when very say કે ભાઈ મારું કામ નથી. Like myelopathy patient, cervical myelopathy with imbalance, cardiac compression, with bladder bowel involvement, you can very well say કે મારું કામ નથી આમાં. You go to the surgeon, or else you investigate them કે ભાઈ MRI કરાવડાઈએ અને આપણે diagnosis કરીએ શું છે, and then you refer them to the surgeon. So you will get a better credit કે ભાઈ physiotherapist ને સરસ આવડે છે, they referred me. If not needed, do alternate visits. Like home visits ની વાત છે. નો હોમ વિઝિટ ટુ ડુ ખાલી સિમ્પલ આઇસોમેટ્રિક એક્સરસાઇઝ કરવા માટે કે ખાલી બેક એક્સરસાઇઝ કરવા માટે ઘરની વિઝિટ ના કરવાની હોય. હોમ વિઝિટ ઇઝ ફોર ધ પેશન્ટ્સ who are disabled, who are paralytic, paralysis આ છે તે છે. Other patients can very well come to the clinic, and this reduces our value. When we go for just shoulder mobilization to the patient, that reduces our value. So always investigate, diagnose them first. Fellowship is another important thing for us to see. Once you pass the clinic, pass the physiotherapy degree, you get the degree. You should not open the clinic. No, you just go for the fellowship, learn to 1, 2 places, 3 places, and learn with the experts, and then you will be able to actually diagnose what is happening. Physio should be fit. So exercise well. Physio na the pet na hovo જોઈએ. You should be always fit. So do exercises regularly. Because beautician if says કે ભાઈ હું beautician છું ને એને if they are not beautiful, then there is there is not that significance of that field. So always be fit. This is my team. This is my mobile number. You can note. If somebody have any questions, they can ask me. You can WhatsApp me. Now choosing investigation. What investigation should be advised when? Like X-ray MRI advice કરવા હોય તો ક્યારે advice કરાય અને શું advice કરાય? That I can tell you. We still have 30 minutes to finish. 12:30 is the time to finish, so we can finish in maybe half an hour. This was a old joke, આ બહુ જૂનો જોક છે કે એમાં એવું કહે છે કે ડોક્ટર સેઝ કે ડોક્ટર એવું કહે છે કે નાનકડું તો જખમ છે, ચિંતા કરવા જેવું કે મોટું કારણ નથી, આ મટી જશે. એનામાં નો હી સીઝ ધ પેશન્ટ એઝ iPhone 11 અને હી સેઝ કે ભાઈ એક કામ કરો ને તો પણ આપણે સેફર સાઈડ ઉપર MRI કરાવી લઈએ. So now the conclusion of this is not that always the doctor is behind the money. પણ પેશન્ટ પાસે આઈફોન છે દેટ મીન્સ કે પેશન્ટને વાંધો નથી ભાઈ, ઇન્વેસ્ટિગેશન પ્રોપર થવું જરૂરી છે. પેશન્ટ કેન અફોર્ડ. So one should not directly say કે ભાઈ આ તો નાનો અમથો જખમ છે મટી જશે. Investigate properly કે ભાઈ ખરેખરમાં જરૂર છે to advise it. If the patient is affording, one should not miss the diagnosis. કારણ કે પેશન્ટ મે afterwards say કે ભાઈ હું તો એફોર્ડ કરી શકતો તો મને તમે MRI કરાવો કે એક્સરે કરાવો તો મને આપણને ખબર પડી જાય કે શું ડાયગ્નોસિસ છે. If the patient is poor, in that case one should think differently. કે ભાઈ પહેલા 10 દિવસની ટ્રીટમેન્ટ આપો એને, once you treat them properly, if they do not have relief, then you investigate, because investigation is going to be costly. So that is how both ways one can treat and one can diagnose and one can treat. So which is the favorite investigation? For me, the X-ray is the favorite investigation because rest of the all investigations are costly. Bones can cost 6,000, CT scan 3,000, PET scan 20,000. So when to advise what? So we start with the X-ray. When to advise X-ray? The advantages of X-ray is that it is cheaper in cost. So if you do not get diagnosed properly, you can more often you can advise X-ray. Many times more information than the MRI in bony and joint pathology and bony pathology and like ankylosing spondylitis. So MRI on occasion it can misguide or it doesn't give a good information about the ankylosing, but X-ray certainly can give a good information about ankylosing in advanced cases if it is used, like fractures, like other joint development pathology can be very well identified from X-ray, bone destructions. Dynamic X-rays can define non-union and instability. Instability non-union so which can be very well defined with the dynamic X-ray. That is flexion and extension X-ray. If patient bends forward and comes backward, so it can very well say that patient has instability or not, and which instability cannot be diagnosed very well on MRI. So one should always go for X-ray, basic X-ray first. Disadvantages of X-ray is less sensitive. So it is not as good as MRI. It doesn't pick up practically everything, but it picks up when more often the 30% of the destruction is already happened or some amount of destruction is already happened. થોડું ઘણું destruction થઈ જાય પછી ખબર પડે કે આને આ disease છે. પણ X-ray gives good information. Now CT scan. It is again advanced form of X-ray. You can say the information which we get from X-ray about the bones. Bones can be very well defined on CT scan. CT scan is very informative about bones. Soft tissues cannot be seen nicely. Soft tissues सारा दिखाई नहीं एमा. Like you can see this CT scan, image of CT scan. You can see the bone vertebra very nicely, but you cannot see the structures around it nicely. So advantage is the good sensitivity for the bony lesion, good specificity for the bony lesion. Bony lesion is specificity કેટલો area destruct which the amount of the area which has been destructed can be very well diagnosed from CT scan. Disadvantage, cannot address soft tissue effectively. So you cannot diagnose the soft tissue, muscle strain, muscle pull, ligament strain, ligament rupture cannot be diagnosed very well from CT scan. And the exposure of radiation is like 10,000 X-ray. When you do one CT scan, it is equal to 10,000 X-ray. So before going for X-ray, CT scan, one should take certain good measure about radiation. When to advise CT scan? When want to know calcification of the disc. Somebody has disc prolapse say, so more often disc prolapse resolves within 1 or 2 months. But disc prolapse resolve થઈ જ નથી થઈ એ જોવા માટે if it is hard or soft, like MRI માં ખબર પડે કે disc prolapse છે, but then you cannot say that the disc will be resolving or not. So one can go for contrast MRI, which is costly. One can go for CT scan also, which is also CT scan. If એમાં જો hard disc દેખાય કે calcified થઈ ગઈ છે, if the disc is calcified, then it is very less likely to resolve. Somebody who has fracture can be very well diagnosed from CT scan. Bone tumors can be very well seen on CT scan because it shows the destructive area, amount of area destruction. Like this CT scan, MRI shows this compression from behind, which can be seen very nicely over here. This is the normal foramina, and the foramina over here is very small. The compression is from behind, and it is calcified. So this is not going to go. So one can very well say કે આ compression છે, આ મટવાનું નથી. Bone scan. They inject the radioactive material, and under the gamma camera scan, one has to go and they diagnose the bone scan diagnosis the bone turnover, the bone related metabolism related diseases like malignancy like cancers, like insufficiency fractures, or joint inflammations or joint pathologies can be very well identified on bone scan. When the patient doesn't have specific symptoms, like એ આખા બોડીમાં પેઇન થતું હોય, અથવા તો આખા જોઈન્ટ્સના બધા બોડીના બધા જોઈન્ટ્સમાં પેઇન થતું હોય, અથવા તો somebody has a specific joint or specific area pain at the night and which cannot be seen nicely on MRI. તમે ખબર ના પડે કે MRI માં ખબર નથી પડતી, diagnosis નથી થતું. So this is the advanced report which can be advised to diagnosis bone metabolism diseases like malignancy or fracture kind of things. Advantages of bone scan is very high sensitivity. It shows bone metabolism. Disadvantages are like weak specificity. It is not specific. It cannot be said that this much amount of the area is destructed. So less specificity, but very well good sensitivity. This is DEXA scan, BMD, bone mineral density. So the amount of osteoporosis can be diagnosed well from BMD. What is BMD? BMD is a low exposure X-ray test, measures the bone density. It is kind of X-ray only, but it is a low exposure of X-rays and which can diagnose the bone density from 3 regions, mainly spine, hip, and wrist. And for that, one has to see T-score. So there are different measurement to see, like gram per centimeter squares and T-score and Z-score. So one should always go for T-score, which is very easily to one can see on this point. They usually put a point over here. The T-score below -2.5 is osteoporosis, and above -2.5 to 1 is osteopenic, and above 1 is normal. So that is how the T-score can be read. This is to read the DEXA scan. This is another CT myelography. If you cannot go for MRI, somebody has a pacemaker or something, then one can advise CT myelography. These are all high reports which may not be explained at present. Blood reports are, it is another important and cheaper report. When to advise blood report? When the patient has multiple complaints, like when you doubt for hidden pathology, somebody has a whole body pain, weight loss, fever. In case of multiple complaints, to know the various deficiency diseases. So if you doubt for vitamin D deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency, one can advise blood reports. Spondyloarthropathy can be advised, blood can be diagnosed well with the blood reports. MRI, what is MRI? That I explained in last session, so I would not explain in this MRI. No, what is MRI? And to advise MRI for dermatomal specific distribution, somebody has a specific radiculopathy, then one can advise the MRI to see the nerve compression or neurological structures, disc structures, muscle structures, or soft tissues can be seen very well on MRI. Neurological claudication, in case of doubt of infection, somebody has infection, if you doubt for infection, one can advise MRI. Myelopathies can be well diagnosed on MRI. Advantages of MRI is detailed information about the soft tissue pathology and to some extent bone pathology. Safe for the pregnant woman and no radiation for the MRI. Somebody goes under the MRI, there is no radiation exposed. They are not exposed to the radiation. Disadvantage of the MRI is artifacts of the implant. Somebody has a hip replacement and the pain is somewhere around the hip, then advising the MRI will not be fruitful because the hip implant itself will have a lot of artifacts. Artifacts means you cannot see the film properly because clear dekhai nahi. So artifacts is another disadvantage. Claustrophobia, somebody has a phobia of a compartment. કોઈ compartment content જગ્યા પર જવાનું કોઈને બીક હોય તો એમાં MRI માં જે gantry હોય નાની, patient gets claustrophobic. On occasional cheater, as I said, ankylosing, on occasion we cannot diagnose that it is ankylosing or other pathology. More sensitive than the actual disease. Exaggerates the amount of compression. Like somebody has a disc prolapse, big disc, but the patient doesn't have symptoms. And so we do not advise the patient even once the disc resolves, we go for the second MRI. Because the symptoms are resolved, that means disc is resolved. It will show some amount of compression still on MRI. This is how the MRI centers look like. One where the doctor sits, radiologist sits. The other is a console where the technician sits, and here is the gantry. So these 3 cabins are connected to each other. where the doctor can see this is a radiology, the radiologist can see the technician, he is a technician, and from technician one can see directly the console, directly the MRI gantry. This is called as a gantry, where the patient lies down. And these are the things which are not allowed in the MRI machine, like pacemaker, કૃત્રિમ સાંધાઓ, ફોન, કેલ્ક્યુલેટર, પરચુરણ, આ બધી વસ્તુ લઈને ન જઈ શકાય. Other scissor, dismiss, chavi. So this was all about choosing the investigation. Last 10 minutes of slides. It will show you some cases, that's all. Now, here the patient was having left lower limb significant pain since standing, walking was only 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And this was since 10 months. Now, what examination we can do and which reports we can do. So examination needs practically everything. Everything has to be examination every time. Walking, gait, ROM, SLR, power, reflexes, sensation, circulation. Everything should be examined. Which report one will advise? So on examination, what we found is this: the patient has amputated the left toe, and because of gangrene. So we asked what had happened, and he said because we have to go through this operation, we don't know why it happened, but then the toe is sadi gayo hato. We went for MRI. MRI was normal. There was no compression on MRI. It is all normal. There was no compression. The roots were free. The cord was normal. MRI myelogram also didn't show major compressions. So what one can go for directly is the color Doppler. One should always see the circulation. So Doppler was showing the 90% blockage on left external iliac artery, and left side there was amputation of the toe. So there was a compression on the vascular. So this was a vascular disease. So we had to refer the patient to the vascular surgeon for the surgery. So this is what we say. Okay, always see for the circulation. Now this is again the examination of the patient who was MBBS student, and they came to us with the, as I said, the supporting the chin. So this was a cox spine, where cervical spine above C1, C2, as I said. So this is a pathology where you can see this is a pathology, abscess collected over here, and the cord is going behind. There is no major compression, so he did not have any symptomatology of radiculopathy or kind of myelopathy. So after the AKT of 1 year, or maybe I think 9 months, we gave it for 1 year, but then the MRI was done on November 2008, and the first MRI was on June 2008. So after the AKT of 6 months, we found this on MRI. The abscess was completely resolved, and this was a normal cord. So it is all normal. So when the patient comes with like this to you, so always make sure that one should always investigate. And if you find there is something like pathology, then one should certainly refer to the surgeon. So this is again a gluteal fold. One can see a dimple over here, and this was the dimple. So we went for MRI, and the MRI showed the cord which should be ending around 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. L1, L2 પર end થવો જોઈએ cord, no? એની જગ્યાએ the cord was going down till L5. So you can see this is tethered cord. This is called as a tethered cord, where the cord is attached to L5, and this was the dimple from where the tract was formed. So in such cases, one needs surgery. So this is called as a tethered cord. So during giving ultrasound or IFT, if you find such dimples or this, one should go for MRI. Patient's name was Jayaba, and only back pain since few days. That's all. There was significant spasm. So we just went for X-ray as usual. We advise X-ray first. And what we can see over here is fish eye. Codfish appearance. So this is a codfish appearance where the disc becomes convex, both the sides, above and below, and the vertebrae becomes collapsed. So this is a X-ray of osteoporosis patient. This is how it looked like. This is a codfish, like a fish, like a fish. It appears like fish. So codfish appearance for a patient who has osteoporosis. Very nicely seen. Now this is another condition where the T1 looks black, fat suppressed look bright, and again T2 looks bright. It is ankylosing. It is a sign of ankylosing spondylitis, and patient was already on AKT. Patient naam was Jagdish Bhai Patel because it was diagnosed as Cox. Patient was already given AKT, and when we went for X-ray, the patient has this bamboo spine. So as I said, if one can be very well treated from the MRI. This is another X-ray of ankylosing spondylitis. So make sure always go for X-ray first and then MRI. Never go for directly for MRI. The pathology of RA, where you can see hallux valgus. On seeing such deformities, one should always strike that patient has spondyloarthropathy. Another patient with muscle loss. You can see this is normal X-ray, where you can see all muscles are black behind. You can see this is a muscle, this is muscle, this is psoas, this is psoas. These are all extensor muscles. Uh, inter, uh, uh, these are the multifidus muscles, which are all in the center. And you can see the extensor muscle over here are quite big, quite thick, black. Where you can see the muscle over here, they are lost. Only muscle atrophy can be seen. These are the fat. These are the fat can be seen over here. So we call it as a sarcopenia. Sarcopenia patients usually they walk with the stoop posture because the extensor muscles, erector spinae, sorry, not multifidus, it is erector spinae, muscles which cannot keep the patients erect and they bend forward because of the extensor weakness. Now this is disc replacement what we do at our place. The total disc replacement. Now as like we must have heard about knee replacement, hip replacement, but disc replacement is advanced. So when we were studying, we never heard about disc replacement. So just I put this image every time so one can know that disc also can be replaced. The advantage of replacing the disc is that we can preserve the movement. If we do the fusion surgery, which is golden surgery, which we used to do from long time, patient will lose the movement. So at our institute, what we do over here is TDR, disc replacement, to preserve the movement of the spine. Now, this is the image of allopathic patient who had a cord edema over here, but then the spinous processes behind are missing. So what we did over here is laminectomy. When we do the laminectomy, when the surgeon does the laminectomy, the spinous processes becomes absent on MRI. So by looking at it, one should not think of why spinous process is kagi. It is not because it is congenital. No, it can be laminectomy. Laminectomy can be done, and it will look like this on MRI. So this is why I just kept it for you. You can see the laminectomy on MRI. I took a lecture on X-rays last time when I said that distance between this one C1 and the shadow should be of at least maybe 5 millimeter, and over the distance over here should be 1 centimeter only, not more than that. But now you see this is operated patient, and the distance over here is more than 2 centimeter, and distance over here is more than 3-4 centimeters. So this is the collection of the hematoma. Blood get collected after surgery, and the patient gets complicated. So somebody who sees the X-rays, patient comes to you with dysphagia, with the collection, with the X-ray like this, you can doubt for the collection over the anterior part of the cervical spine, which can be abscess, which can be hematoma. This is another good example of herpes. Herpes look like this. On an assessment, one can see the herpes like this. Small bunch of clusters of there are blisters, small blisters in the single line of nerve, and they usually have significant severe radiculopathy. And we will scratch our head going for X-ray and MRI, anything will be positive. So always assess the skin. This is Charcot's joint, have a neuropathic joint. Look like this on assessment. On seeing this, you can see this is it look like fracture, but it is not fracture. It is Charcot joint. Patient had cervical myelopathy, cervical myelopathy with syringe. We can see there is a syringe over here. This is a cord, and you can see the syringe over here. And because of the neurological symptoms, because of myelopathy, this is ACM, cerebellar herniation, Arnold Chiari malformation with the syringe. Patient had Charcot's joint. This is a case of again syringe going top to bottom over here and here, and you can see the cord is attached down. You cannot see the end of the cord. This is the cord, and cord is going till L5. So again, this is a tethered cord with diastomatomyelia. Diastomatomyelia is a condition which divide the cord in two parts. So you can see there are two cords here, one here and one here, and there is a septum between that. So this is called as a diastomatomyelia, which comes in our scoliosis chapter. And when you mention about the scoliosis, one should write about this diastomatomyelia, spinal dystrophism, tethered cord, which comes as a part of symptomatology of the scoliosis. Last 5 minutes. Let me skip this. I just wanted to show this gait because the patient walks like this because patient had a Cox spine, pathology of the spine. You can see this is how the patients with the pathology, they walk like this, spinal pathology. I will show you again. This is how they walk with the hand on the, this is a Mehsana where we go for OPD. And this was the pathology here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and D12L1. It was probably more of a malignancy than the infection because it is affecting the whole vertebra. Now this is a very important case, a very, very good case. Where you can see the patient is walking with significant limb. You can see that there is antalgic gait. The left lower limb is not able to weight bear. They're not able to weight bear on the left lower limb. Now, same patient with this age, around 60, 70, if they're walking like this, always doubt for insufficiency fracture. Somebody who has insufficiency fracture will walk like this. And insufficiency fracture, more often it happens at the femur or tibia. Here the patient had a tibia insufficiency fracture. Here is a bright area on the shin of the tibia. And make sure when the patient has antalgic gait with this age, always palpate the shin of the tibia. If they have tenderness of the shin of the tibia, one can doubt of insufficiency fracture. Now this is the video of the patient with the mask-like face, case of Parkinsonism. So as I said, the moment you see the patient, the way the expression and everything is gone, one can very well say this is mask-like face and the patient has a Parkinsonism. Very well diagnosed. The patient doesn't have push-off on right lower limb. You can see that. The patient is walking with inversion. Patient does not have eversion. Patient is not able to push off. You can see this. And yeah, and the foot drop together. Okay, I think. Okay, anyway, these are all things to share. Feel free to contact me. You may have my number. We can give it with you and talk to me whenever you read or whenever you need some help. Thank you.
Sir, this is over?
Yeah, this is over, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Birju sir. It was a very wonderful session. I have gone through all the entire presentation. It shows you have a very much expertise in your spine, and we are congratulate for your expertization for all. And we are also thankful for the sharing the knowledge. Wonderful knowledge you have shared with the students. I hope the all students will learn a lot many things from your side. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. On behalf of Parallel University, I'm just thanking you for this wonderful webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.